with Bill Gunter and Patrick Perrette.
Why don't we start with someone more interesting?
And producer extraordinaire, Jen Jensen. It's time for the early game, where the bacon is always prepared properly.
My grand slam was supposed to be with sausage.
On 107.5, The Game.
Happy Irish Wednesday morning to you. It is nasty out there. So if you're getting up, turning us on, I guess, and starting to get ready, prepare yourself. It was quite rainy coming into town this morning. So be safe out there if you're getting up, getting going, getting the kids to school, doing all your regular routine things here on December 8th. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen coming to you the early game here, 107.5 The Game. Up and at 'em this morning. Lots to get into here from a busy Tuesday afternoon. Another quarterback, Patrick, one that I'm going to say near and dear to your heart, but another quarterback in the transfer portal. And turns out South Carolina might just have the most or the best chance with this quarterback regarding all of connection. I see you. I saw that jump from you there a little bit. I'll tell you
that
why.
That was a positive jump.
Okay, well, we'll get that. Max Johnson, former LSU starting quarterback, has entered the transfer portal. I'll tell you why South Carolina might just have a pretty good chance with Max Johnson and his brother. I believe it's Jack Johnson, the number one tight end in the country. Jake. I was close.
Jack Johnson is a wonderful
Thank you.
artist, though.
Yes.
Banana
music
Pancakes,
artist.
Upside Down. Yeah, a lot of good songs.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, Jake Johnson, the number one tight end in the country. So we'll
if you
get
listen to Jack Johnson this morning, it'll probably make it feel like it's not raining anymore.
Really?
Oh,
Jen's in agreement. Look at
Jack
Jen.
Johnson's awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
He's beach music for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it is. Well, I don't know if you're going to feel like it's not raining. It's nasty out there. It's coming in from from Lexington. I normally don't get too concerned, Jen. You make about the same trip that I do, and not that we're going to turn this into the weather show instantly right off the bat, but it was coming out of Lexington. It was pouring pretty hard and dark. I mean, I know it's dark, but I don't know if it was foggy or just harder to see. I don't feel like I have problems seeing the road most days, but it was a little bit more difficult than normal this morning.
Yeah, I think there's a little more haze or something. I'm kind of with you on that one, or the visibility just wasn't quite as good, and there's standing water. So,
yeah. So be safe. Be safe out there. Get up and both hands on the wheel. Pay attention. We'll get you through the next 3 hours here as we roll into a Wednesday and then head toward a weekend. The first weekend without obviously the Army-Navy game this weekend, and you got some FCS playoffs, but our first real weekend without any major college football action. So again, we'll get into Max Johnson entering the transfer portal. Patrick says that might not be a good thing if he were to come to South Carolina. We'll certainly get his take on that. That sounds like an interesting little discussion we'll get into as South Carolina continues to mine the transfer portal. They do lose a player that will not be a part of the bowl game. This was kind of the news last night. There's two very interesting big pieces of news last night that popped out yesterday afternoon, last night, regarding South Carolina and next year, 2022, and the bowl game, the upcoming bowl game, as Zaquandre White has elected to head on to the NFL. He will bid farewell, will prepare for the NFL, and will not participate in the South Carolina bowl game. And Patrick, kind of that's where we start this morning, because I do think that this is an important bowl game. And we'll talk more bowl game today. We've not talked a great deal about South Carolina and North Carolina in the Dukes Mayo Bowl, 11:30 a.m. on December 30th. But Zaquandre White, the leading rusher for South Carolina in 2021, 583 yards, 88 carries. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground and 3 touchdown passes. He caught 19 passes this year for 202 yards. So a very solid year, 785 all-purpose yards, catching and receiving. And he was a guy that disappeared in the middle of the season, kind of, or earlier in the season, and then kind of came back late and showed to be a very dynamic runner, a very angry runner, as we labeled it. And this will, for a bowl game that I think is a little bit more important than some, winning and building a little momentum toward 2022, this one hurts a little bit. You like to have him there in Charlotte for the bowl game.
Yeah, you'd like to, but I mean, if we said before the season you're not going to have Zaquandre White for the bowl game, we'd be saying, okay, was he even supposed to play? Like that's where we're at the beginning of the season. It's supposed to be the Kevin Harris and Marshawn Lloyd show. And it's not the worst thing that all of your running backs are going to be coming back next year. So give them all the playing time they need. And I don't know. I mean, look, Zaquandre was awesome this year, better than we could have ever imagined. He runs angry. He's just a really good athlete. I mean, really like twitchy and has a very unusual running style, but it works. I don't even know, like jerky almost. Like I really don't know how to describe his game, but I was thinking this is more about staying healthy than anything because I'm not sure if he's going to get drafted. I haven't seen really any draft people. I looked even through who was retweeting his tweet and who was commenting on it, and it wasn't really any big name draft people saying, "Oh, I project him as a 5th round pick" or anything along those lines. It's not a good class for running backs. Maybe he'll have a chance to get drafted late. I assume anyone that takes a long look at South Carolina's tape from this year, he'll stand out. I mean, he was one of the few that stood out on South Carolina's offense and really South Carolina's team. So, yeah, I think it'll be good for him to maybe just start testing, get in Apex or whatever it is, one of these training schools for the combine and start practicing his get off for his 40 and repping out 225. And if he tests really well, it'll help him get drafted. I don't know if he'll be invited to the combine even. So yeah, we'll see. I certainly don't blame him. He's an older kid. He's been in college for 4 years, right? One at Florida State, one in Florida State, one in JUCO?
2 at Florida State.
2 at Florida State, one in JUCO, 2 at South Carolina. Okay,
Yep.
so 5 years. Yeah, he's ready to get out. The last thing he needs at this point, he's got his degree and everything. The last thing he needs at this point is to get hurt in the bowl game and completely crumble his stock. So, yeah, I can't blame him. And I guess now that he's announced, my first thought was, okay, well, are we waiting on JJ Enagbare to say that he's not going to play? And
Yeah,
we'll see about that.
I think we'd be surprised if JJ Enagbare. I think that was the one we all thought would be a definite.
No, not a definite. It's never a definite.
I don't know.
Why would it ever be a definite?
I feel like that's the new era of college football. If you're not in, and even to be quite honest, even if you're in a major bowl game, if you're not in the college football playoff, I don't know what the incentive for players to play is. You know better than I do where all those players were drafted for North Carolina last year that opted out. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say it's not a. It's
the highest was Williams, the Javonte Williams, their running back, and he was in the second round.
Yeah, and see, I feel like Enagbare is going to be at least a second round at worst kind of guy, and who knows? You're right. Maybe he does play. We'll see.
Last year was weird because when you look at the non-quarterbacks, Kyle Pitts opted out of the bowl game. Jamar Chase opted out of the entire season, and Penei Sewell opted out of the entire season. Patrick Surtain was the highest drafted player field player who played in their bowl game, but that was because he played in the national championship. So I don't know.
So
I was never assuming that he wasn't going to play, but would I be surprised if he didn't? No, not at all.
Right. And so you've got that going. The good news last night, Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk reporting that Josh Vann has turned down an invitation to play in the Senior Bowl. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean one thing or the other, but what it would seem to indicate is that he plans to return in 2022. And I think Justin Stepp's going to have to overhaul this receiving group. Landon Sampson, the wide receiver, they've been out visiting him in Texas. I believe Shane Beamer had his in-home visit with Landon Sampson yesterday. Landon is a guy who got bumped to 4 stars on the Rivals Network. A lot of people that I've talked to seem to think he may be the best recruit in the class for South Carolina. Obviously, the Gamecocks are still in high pursuit of Antonio Williams, the wide receiver from Dutch Fork High School, just down the road from us here. Trying to remake that wide receiver room, Patrick, and get some dynamic guys in there that can actually keep opposing defensive coordinators up during the week is one of the top priorities. We talk about quarterback, you talk about offensive line, but outside of Josh Vann this past year, you didn't have another wide receiver that scared the opposing team. I think you kind of called it early on. You looked at Amarion Brown's statistics and you looked at what he did and you said, all right, maybe the hype on this guy's not what you guys are building it up to be. You need to back down on that a little bit. That was a guy that I thought maybe would make more of an impact. DeCarrion Joyner was kind of hit or miss. We saw Xavier Legette make some catches, but also at the same time be injured most of the season. Rico Powers was a guy who we never saw appear on the field. There's there's more that I'm missing. Ortre Smith transferred out. EJ Jenkins was a wide receiver / tight end that we all kept wondering if we'd see more from. I know you never really want to rely on a bunch of freshmen, but Landon Sampson and Antonio Williams, or if they can land Antonio Williams, would be very big. But getting Josh Van back, if that is indeed what he elects to do, is the first big step for South Carolina in 2022.
Yeah, it's your only chance of having an established receiver, unless you somehow go in the transfer portal and pry out a big name. But without a quarterback, that's definitely not going to happen. More likely, receivers would leave to go to a school with an established quarterback and know that someone is going to be able to effectively get you the ball. So Josh Van was the only option for bringing back an established threat that the other team's going to have to actually game plan for. And if Landon Sampson can come in and take a bunch of targets in the slot and just eat up targets, that would be great. But if you didn't have Josh Van going into next year, you've got nothing that's proven in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, it's big. And, yeah, I guess that's not an announcement that he's coming back, but you don't say no to the Senior Bowl if you're planning on going pro.
Yeah,
almost everybody in the Senior Bowl gets drafted. I think last year there was maybe one player that played in the Senior Bowl that didn't get drafted. Their scouts do a really good job. They're plugged into the NFL. They know who the NFL wants to take a longer look at, and almost everyone there has been contacted, or everyone that's invited to the Senior Bowl staff has been contacted by most, if not all, NFL teams about. So they know what they're doing, and if Josh Van was invited, he was probably going to have a good shot of getting drafted.
Yeah, again, that's for South Carolina as we start to kind of transition. We'll talk more about the bowl game today and get your thoughts on that now as we become a little bit further removed from what was a wild weekend with coaching changes and with championship weekend and college football playoff stuff taking place. We'll start to look a little bit more toward this Duke's Mayo Bowl. But Josh Van, when you talk about transitioning to 2022, you're right. Right now, South Carolina, there's nothing in this bowl game that's going to solve the quarterback issue. Even if Jason Brown goes out and his lights out, I don't think that's going to – that makes you maybe it makes you feel a little bit better, but I don't think it solves what you're looking for at the quarterback position. South Carolina certainly appears to be in the market for a transfer quarterback, and we'll get back into that Max Johnson situation.
Well, another one we talked about from LSU, Miles Brennan's going to Southern Miss.
Oh, I did not see that. Yes,
I don't know if it's officially official, but that's what everyone
officially official.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if he's announced it, but that was the word of the street, and that was all the buzz yesterday.
Okay, officially official. We'll see if we can get some officially official information on that. But yeah, the Josh Van news certainly big for South Carolina yesterday. Again, no official announcement from Josh Van, but again, Phil Kornblut of the Sports Talk Network reporting that Josh Van has turned down an invite to the Senior Bowl there yesterday. So we'll continue to talk about that throughout the morning. If you want to weigh in on that, again, the Duke's Mayo Bowl, we'll get into this question. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in this morning. Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Anonymous texter says, isn't it time to see if Lloyd is going to perform? This is where we'll go with this bowl question. Yes and no. Marshawn Lloyd at times has had his opportunities to perform this year, Patrick. You'd kind of agree with that. At the same time, that offensive line, some of the play calling, I don't necessarily put everything on Marshawn Lloyd, and I don't think that coming off of that ACL injury, he's necessarily been the guy that South Carolina recruited. I think next year, providing he's in a Gamecock uniform, is the year we really get to see if he can stay healthy, if they can maybe change a few other things in terms of scheme and blocking, and the offensive line can be better. We get to see who he is. But I think for everybody outside of Zaquandre White, who still at times had a very difficult time getting a running game going when the offensive line struggled, it would be I don't know what I expect from Marshawn Lloyd, both in the bowl game and moving toward 2022.
Him or Kevin Harris, because I think both of them will benefit from the extended time off from at least contact. I mean, Kevin Harris, we speculated all year that he might not be at 100% because he just didn't look like the same running back he was last year. And then Marshawn Lloyd, we talked about, I mean, there was that 2-game stretch where he looked like he was really kind of turning it on, and it was when he took his brace off.
Mm-hmm.
So he took his brace off in the middle of season and didn't really get to work other than just practice and getting ready, and maybe some more time where he doesn't have to worry about anything but just running and being more comfortable without that brace on and just building more confidence in that knee and all that fun stuff. Like, maybe that's all he needs is just a little bit of time off, and he'll be able to come in the bowl game. And we've seen it before of guys just making their coming out party as the bowl game, and then there's no better time than that because we'll spend the whole offseason talking about, hey, He looked really good in the bowl game. This is someone that you're going to be able to build around for next year.
And Jason weighs in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, says, why not Juju McDowell? And look, it's going to open up carries for everybody. You know, to your point, it looked like Marshawn Lloyd was kind of getting into a rhythm there. I know it was a blowout and it was second and third stringers or whatever, but it was the Texas A&M game. But it was after that Zaquandre White really started to make his presence felt, obviously in the Florida game and in games afterwards. So Zaquandre White's kind of emergence, I think, moved Marshawn Lloyd a little bit more to the back of the pack there. We'll see. A lot to
But
get into.
if you are concerned about him not coming back next year, I would think that you would want to feed him in the bowl game and say, hey, look, Zaquandre White was just great last year. That's why he's going to the NFL,
Right.
and that's why we were feeding him carries. But hey, you're going to have every opportunity in the world to be the guy next year. So look, this is what it could look like. And you give him a bunch of carries. It's not going to be Juju. Juju, there's no school where he's going to be the workhorse back. He's too small, and he's just based off his size alone is more of a gadgety guy. He's not going to be able to run between the tackles 20 times a game. It's just not. He's not built that way.
803-404-6100. That's how you can join us this morning. Cool Care Heating and Air text line or the Love Chevy phone line. You can also join us on the Buford Lending live stream. Travis weighs in. Yeah, he was asking two players I'm wondering about last night. 4-star Max Johnson, LSU starting quarterback, enters the portal. And then his brother and Travis makes the same mistake I did. He says his brother Jack. Well, we've already covered that. Jack is a songwriter, singer, but his brother Jake is in the portal. We'll get into that. Max Johnson, there is a connection there, and it might be something to keep an eye on for South Carolina. Others weighing in on the Buford Lending live stream this morning. Robin, DC, Anthony, Decor, LeVar, Josh, all in. Chuck, and yes, it is rainy out there this morning. So if you're up and at 'em, be safe. Be safe. Get the kids to school. Grab yourself a donut, cup of coffee. We'll get you through the next few hours. Plenty to get into here. Again, some South Carolina football news. We'll start to look ahead to the South Carolina Dukes Mayo Bowl, South Carolina, North Carolina Dukes Mayo Bowl on December 30th at 11:30 a.m. Coming up at 7:30 this morning, Brian Rosefield from Ridgeview High School will join us. The Bash High School basketball tournament gets going tomorrow night over at Lexington High School. We'll get into that. We got some tickets to give away as well. So a lot to do here this morning, a lot to keep you entertained. Hope you're doing well this morning. Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
What'd you say? Too hot? Patrick's got the extra hot coffee. Yeah, it was nasty out there. It was nasty out there this morning. Be safe. Be safe if you're having to get up and go. That's what Jen and I were talking about to start the show. It's just how I agree, Robin. Inside day. I'm ready to already go back and get back in bed. Yeah, Greg, it was raining in Lexington. It wasn't as bad downtown as I got into downtown, but man, coming down the interstate and war ball. Oh boy, I don't know what that was, but that sounds yeah. Hall duty and not bus duty. Yeah, it's a miserable morning out there. What was war ball, Chuck? I feel like that's definitely something from a long time ago that they're not allowed to play now. I don't even know if you could call it war ball in school now, could you? I mean, I feel like the way things are going, you have to call it tickle ball or something. It's dodgeball. Yeah, definitely couldn't call it war ball then. Definitely got to be or gently smack the kid across from you with the ball game. Are they even Robin? Are they even allowed to play? Yeah, Craig, you definitely can't say that anymore. Robin, are they even allowed to play dodgeball anymore? Or is
I don't
that
think so, right? That's what I was told.
you don't think so?
Maybe certain districts have outlawed it, but I've been told that my school's not allowed to play it anymore.
Any make can't make kids targets. Any make kids target. No war ball. We can't play dodgeball anymore either. Any make kids. That's so sad. Dodgeball is all part of growing up. Get smacked with a ball. I mean, how hard are these third and fourth graders throwing the ball at each other? That
Well, the problem is that everybody has to take gym class.
yeah, my daughter's taking. She's not happy right now.
Yeah, and the
She's
kids that
12.
don't
Ansley's
want to
not
be there at
enjoying
all,
gym.
then you start playing dodgeball, all they want to do is just sit out, and they don't want to be doing it, and then they're just standing there, just getting drilled,
Just getting hammered.
don't know how to throw a ball.
Oh, that's true. Travel baseball players. That's actually pretty funny. Yeah. No dodgeball in school. Oh well. Swamp ball. What is swamp ball? I don't even want to know. You know what? Let's get grizzled this morning. Yeah, my daughter's in gym. They made her run a mile or something. She was not happy about that.
That's part of fitness testing. We had the mile, the pacer, chin ups, sit and reach, curl ups.
Oh, the whole fitness test,
Those
curl ups.
were, yeah, I think those were the 5. I don't think there was a push ups.
Mm. Yeah, not to go down that path, RL, but out in Gilbert, they've had 2 incidents in the last 10 days. One at the high school, well, one on the bus at a high school and one at the middle school. It's crazy. Crazy with kids. I don't crazy with Robin, you're to be saluted. It was being in a school now.
Height and weight? Is that what she's. What does it mean?
Yeah.
You weigh the kids in front of the class? If you have to publicly weigh the kids in front of the class and everyone just steps on the scale, that's way more embarrassing than dodgeball. Private way to go.
Oh yeah, you definitely. Yeah, you definitely. I would imagine the weight thing. I can't even believe they run that risk of just another kid accidentally seeing it or something.
No more chin ups. Chin ups was always tough.
I hated chin
Most people
ups.
couldn't do chin ups. I could do one, but then once you had to go to the full hang, I couldn't get back up
Oh
again.
yeah.
Yeah.
Later today, about 2:15 on the halftime show, you can catch what's his name?
Rolly.
Rolly. You can
Stitchway.
catch Captain Rolly Stitchwich, Army's
Stitchway.
Stitchway, sorry. And I got it right here in front of me from Tommy Moody. Stitchway, Army's all everything quarterback, defensive back, kick returner, punt returner, and he was the punter in the Army Navy game 1963 and 1964. Make sure you catch that interview today with Jay and Tommy here later this afternoon about 2:15 on the halftime show. Army Navy this weekend, Patrick. You're more for. Have you never been to an Army Navy game, have you?
Not the game itself, no.
What have you been
No.
to? When you
I've been to Navy games. I've been around, like, because it's in Baltimore, so I've been around for the games, but never gone to the game.
Is that a bucket list item?
Yeah.
803-404-6100. Yes or no? We'll know what you're talking about. Is Army Navy? I would like to go. I don't know if I would label. I don't know where you start drawing your list on bucket list items, but it's a game that I do always kind of enjoy tuning into. This year, Patrick, it'll be at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, so it'll be the Giants and the
home
Jets
game for Army.
Okay, yeah. It's typically played always in Philadelphia, though, isn't it?
Well, they've played it in Baltimore, they've played it in MetLife, and they've played it in Philly just because Philly is almost directly between the two. So
Right.
Philly just makes the most sense. But yeah, I mean, they like to move it around a little bit. I don't know if it's been played anywhere else besides. I mean, it's been played in DC.
Has
That
it?
just makes sense. But those are the only 4 stadiums I can ever recall it being played in.
3 o'clock this weekend, CBS Army Navy. We'll catch up with Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider tomorrow to get his picks, both for that game for the NFL this weekend and for some college basketball this weekend. Brian does a good job with college basketball, and so we will catch up with him coming up tomorrow in his usual time slot to get a breakdown, not only again of this weekend's Army Navy game, but also we'll get some NFL games. That Army Navy line, for those that are wondering, as I sit here and look for it, is you got it in front of you, Pat? Here we go. No, what did I go to here?
What are you looking for?
Army Navy. Oh, here we go. Army's -7.5 over under. You know what the over under is? This is typical for Army Navy, but even I'm shocked to see the number as what it is. You want to guess what the over under is?
31.
Very close, very solid. 34.
Okay.
34. So, but 803-404-6100 is attending an Army Navy game, a bucket list item. Again, South Carolina news from yesterday. Zaquandre White heading to the NFL now. He in a prepared statement that he released, I think on Instagram. I never know this. I for 39 years old, I feel so much older when I end up seeing this kind of stuff. But I believe he released it on Instagram. Is that right, Patrick? Is that where it was?
I saw it on Twitter. It might have been on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't know if he put it on Instagram and then it gets plucked. Yeah, it was Instagram is where it was officially plucked. But he says he has decided to start pursuing his goal of the NFL, and he will begin preparing for the NFL draft immediately. It does open the door. I think typically we would say it opens the door to see what Marshawn Lloyd could do. Maybe what more of Juju McDowell could do. We kind of know what Kevin Harris can do. We saw that 2 years ago. But I don't know if people get that much more excited given what they saw from the offense and the running game this past year that leads you to believe you're going to go, oh, this is their opportunity to go out and really run the football. You've got to be more creative in the run game. And by all accounts, as we see here on December 8th at 6:34 on a Wednesday, my expectation now is that Marcus Satterfield, I don't know if he's going to be the South Carolina offense coordinator in 2022. I still have reason to believe that there will be a different offense coordinator in 2022, but I do believe he will be the offensive coordinator for the bowl game.
Would people sacrifice success in the bowl game to just not have him come back?
I do think so.
like lose the bowl game 28.
Oh, you're talking about like if he coordinated the bowl game and they
if the bowl game determines his fate, and it was, hey, you're gonna lose the bowl game and you're not gonna look good, or you're gonna win the bowl game and he's back.
I think the diehards would say no. I'll win the game. Like Shane Beamer, by now you've played 12 games. You should know what you should have. Like
Yeah.
one game. Just because you racked up 40 points on a Florida team, I guess it was 33. There was an odd defensive score, but just because you put up offensive numbers against Florida, who was depleted, who Samford the following week Samford had their way with the Florida defense, doesn't mean that you've turned a corner offensively. You had 12 games, you had a resume. So I don't know if people would maybe take that. I think they would hope that Shane Beamer would see the writing on the wall as is and move forward from there.
Or if it's just Shane Beamer doesn't want to get rid of him, they're friends, and he believes in him, obviously, because he hired him. And he's thinking, well, at this point, the public pressure is just too intense. There's no way I can keep you. But if there's a really good bowl game and you crush North Carolina like 35-7 and the offense just explodes and Marshall and Lloyd looks really good and Josh Van's coming back and all that, and he's thinking, okay, well, maybe now the fans will take it easy on me. We've got a lot of momentum. We finished the season with a win. We've got a winning record. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And think that he can get away with it in that case.
I don't know. It's for Shane Beamer, it's so different. And now with some information now kind of popping out that you get, it looks like you'll get Josh Van back for next year. You're going to have what I believe will be a pretty significant quarterback battle in the spring. The big discussion in the spring will be quarterback because you'll have Luke Doty. You should have Jason Brown. We assume Jason Brown is going to be back. And I do think they're going to end up with a transfer quarterback. And that leads me to Max Johnson. Patrick, yesterday he announces that he and his brother, Jake Johnson, Jake, the number one tight end in the country, was originally committed to LSU. Max is going to transfer. Jake is going to now decommit and look for another school. Brad Johnson, they're the son of Brad Johnson, former quarterback at Florida State, and went on to win a Super Bowl. Did he win a Super Bowl? With
the
right?
Buccaneers.
With the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Okay. It's weird to say sometimes that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 2 Super Bowls. But the bottom line is he's the son of Brad Johnson. Florida State is also thought to be in the mix, but South Carolina has a connection here. Zebulai Noland, the starting quarterback for the first couple games, his father was Max Johnson's coach at Oconee County back in Georgia. According to 24/7 Sports, J.C. Sherbert, Eric Kimry will be over there today to meet with Zeb Nolan's father and kind of be around the school. There are connections there that at least I think puts South Carolina in a position to maybe get a visit, maybe take a swing on Max Johnson. However, I'm interested to hear this take from you. This is not one that you're a fan of.
I'm not a fan. It doesn't excite me. I mean, I was talking to my LSU family yesterday, and nobody's banged up about Max Johnson leaving. I mean, the biggest problem is that Jake Johnson is now no longer committed.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a package deal, which I assume it is, yeah, for sure. You go get Max Johnson and you bring the number one, possibly number one tight end in the country. People are still upset about not getting Oscar Delp. Well, this guy is believed to be just as, if not better than Oscar Delp, depending on where you look. I've seen Oscar Delp as the number one tight end in this class. I've seen Jake Johnson as the number one tight end in this class. So you definitely need a player like that. And Max Johnson, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's taking you to the next level. If it was just the quarterbacks, I'd rather have Jack Miller from Ohio State just because there's at least a little more unknown, and that is exciting because I think that Max Johnson wasn't that impressive as a freshman, maybe even took a step back this year. I don't think he's got a great arm. He's a good athlete, but I don't think he's anything special. But if he's coming with his brother, that's big time. And I do think, I mean, he's, as much as I don't think he's great, I think he's probably better than everyone on South Carolina's team right now. And he'd probably come in and win the starting job. I just don't think that's taking your offense to new heights.
Max Johnson this year was 225 for 337, completed 60% of his passes, 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He was sacked 3 times. Correct me if I'm wrong, he's a little bit more of a dual threat quarterback.
Yeah,
he had 78 rushes. He had negative 41 yards. So to say he's a dual threat, but then negative rushing yards total for the season, it's an interesting name to throw out there. I from what I've picked up early on, Florida State is going to be the other school to watch here because of the tie-in with his father, and Mike Norvell doing the same thing, trying to find quarterbacks here that can fit his system and obviously get to a bowl.
Zeb Nolan coming back next year?
No, Nolan's out of eligibility.
No, but
I would
is he a
assume
multi-year grad coach? Is he in like is this like a 2-year program thing, or is it he was gonna do 1 year of grad assistant and then find a new coaching job elsewhere? Or?
I would assume he'll be back in some maybe as an analyst next year.
I was thinking, I mean, yeah, that's a connection. But if Zeb Nolan is just leaving because he's done grad school now too, then what is the benefit of?
I think it's
that relationship.
Well, it's the relationship with the high school coach is what it. That's how Zeb Nolan ended up here to begin with, was the relationship with the Shane Beamer, and I don't know if it's necessarily Marcus Satterfield, but it's the relationship with Zeb's father at Oconee that allowed for Zeb to come here. All right, you're going to get into coaching. I know these guys, go play for them. So you're going to get a good word.
Zeb wasn't in high school at the same time as Max, or he probably was, right? Senior and freshman?
I believe it was, yeah. I believe they were in high school together. Again, whether they were on, I don't know if Max was on the varsity team as a freshman or if he was playing JV, but there is a connection there. And we'll see again if South Carolina can potentially get a visit from Max Johnson. It's just something to keep an eye on. Again, a lot of the transfer quarterback portal is wild.
It was a bad day for LSU.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they lost another wide receiver, Dion something, and they lost, more importantly, the coldest. Remember this kid? The coldest Juan Crawford.
Oh, yeah.
Decommitted.
Yep.
It hurts.
It's football recruiting right now I don't think people are noticing it as much because of what's happening with the transfer portal. I mean, again, now you've got Max Johnson in, you've got Harrison Bailey in from Tennessee. I still think one of the Florida quarterbacks will go into the transfer portal. I think that'll happen after spring practice, but you've got one of those guys that could go in. Obviously, we've talked about Quinn Ewers and Spencer Rattler. Those guys are in. One of them is in from Texas, right? Was it which one went in? Was it Casey Thompson or Hudson Card? I thought one of the Texas quarterbacks has gone.
Hudson Card, because Casey Thompson kind of took the starting job.
Right? One of those guys. There are options out there, and there's a level of free agency that is what is going on. 803-404-6100. How you can weigh in this morning if you'd like to. Richard weighs in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text. I'm not sure why Zaquandre White would enter the draft. He should transfer to App State, Liberty, or somewhere on that level because he'd get his footage out there on running the ball, catching out of the backfield. These kids are getting horrible advice. I mean, Richard, I'll say this, not as a college athlete, as a person who somehow survived 5 years of college, 5.5 years to be exact. Father was thrilled with that. For a history, some of these kids are just tired of college. You know, you look at some of them. It's interesting to see Adam Prentice last year. Patrick was a guy that could have come back for, I think, a 22nd year this year, but had enough of college. I think some of these kids just decide, hey, I've had enough of college. I'm ready to move on, whether you like it or not. There is still a student element. We can joke about it all we want. They do have to, I guess, technically attend class, but maybe he's just ready to go. And quite frankly, I'd say there's no reason to transfer. He would go into the spring as the starting running back, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he's a fifth year, so he's probably almost 23, 22 or 23. He comes back another. If you're going in the draft at 24 years old, a running back who's been in college for 6 years, tons of carries, like that's not a good thing. You're not going to have a better chance of getting drafted when you're 24 years old as a running back. And running backs only have their lifespans are so short in the NFL. Like you have to get out there and you have to take your chance when you can. And it's not like if he doesn't get drafted, he's not going to find his way onto a camp roster. He'll probably get practice squatted somewhere, but worst case. And teams roll through running backs. Every team's going to go through 5 running backs at least in a year. I mean, I've said it a million times. He's better than Tyson Williams. Like Tyson Williams was not good at South Carolina. I would have said Tyson Williams would be the 5th running back on the depth chart right now. I think everybody on the team, every one of your running backs has a higher upside than Tyson Williams, yet he ended up being the starting running back for the Ravens to start this season. So Zaquandre White will find himself on the field somehow, some way.
And he's shown that he's versatile. I mean, he could go play. He could make a scout. What is it? Not a scout team, but a practice squad because he's played like he got moved to linebacker.
Squad, you're going to be activated at some point. It just happens. Like running backs, you just fly through them, especially now. every big name running back who signed a big contract has gotten hurt now. Like, there isn't a good deal out there except for Derrick Henry, and even he got hurt this year. So teams are going to just be willing to take the minimum contract running backs and just file through them. How many running backs does the 49ers play? They've probably played 6 or 7 running backs this year.
And like you said, maybe he's a Quandre White's a guy who can catch on special teams as
Sure,
well.
yeah.
Chuck weighs in on the Buford Lending live stream. He says, I don't mind giving up the final year of school as much as I do the opt-out. And that's the other part of it.
Those
Like,
are not the final year. I mean,
well,
but
but
eligibility.
the
He's
question
been in
is
school for 5 years.
the question is, if he played in the North Carolina game, could he do something that he hasn't already done this year that enhances his draft stock? I mean, it's hard to argue with him. He's looking out for number one, and I have no problem with that. Craig points out as well, and I didn't realize this. We may have to check this. And I think Patrick, is this going to be right? Craig says Zaquandre White has had 5 different head coaches.
Probably.
He was there with
No, he wasn't there with Norvell.
How long has Norvell been there? 2 years?
He left.
So
Zaquandre White probably left.
He had 2
before
years.
Norvell got hired.
He had 2 years with Willie Taggart, so would it be 4? Willie Taggart, and then obviously a junior college coach, and then Muschamp. And I guess if you want to throw Mike Bobo in there as an interim head coach,
This is year 2 for Norvell, isn't it?
I think you're right.
So he's been at South Carolina as long as Norvell's been there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
4 head coaches, 5 if you want to throw in interim head coach Mike Bobo. If you want to get wild and crazy
That's true.
about that. Taggart, a junior college coach, Muschamp, and Shane Beamer. So Zaquandre White, certainly it's been an interesting college career for him. We'll continue on. Gamecock Larry, he dropped off. We'll get to him. He'll call back in, Gamecock Larry. We're going to get to you. I apologize. There was a lot to talk about. Gamecock Larry gets mad at us for not talking South Carolina sports. For talking other sports. We talked South Carolina sports for the first 46 minutes. We were going to get to him. We will get to him if he calls back
There's
in.
no shot that Zaquandre played for Jimbo, right? It's too long ago.
No,
Yeah, it had to have
Fisher's Wade, Fisher, and then Taggart.
He ended in 17. Yeah. Zaquandre White's first season was 2018.
Yeah. There we go. 803-404-6100. That's how you can join us. You can also check us out on the Buford Lending live stream this morning. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. In your car. Online. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. 107.5 The Game.
Christmas season means family. Well, for the most part, it means family. It means a lot of other things, but usually it means family coming over to the house. Maybe you're going to do some baking this weekend. Maybe you're going to have a little Christmas party. It also means that house needs to be clean. You want people coming over being impressed with your household, not talking about the stains on your carpet, on your rugs. You don't want people talking about things that are on your tile. You need to get Zero Res out to your house today. 803-262-4020. That's how you can book a Zero Res cleaning today. You can also go online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res cleaning with their patented technology that uses high pH electrolyzed water, not harsh chemicals, and no sticky, soapy residue. That's right. The technology known as ZR Water is absolutely incredible and scientifically proven to get your carpet, rugs, tile, and upholstery insanely clean. I had the family over last Friday night. Prior to doing that, I was able to get Zero Res out to the house to make sure my house looked beautiful. And you know what? Ask any of the family members. They think I am one of the cleanest people that walk this earth, all because of Zero Res. Do that yourself. 803-262-4020. Right now, if you call Zero Res, you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $119. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you can get a hallway cleaned for free. You can schedule online, ZeroResColumbia.com, or you can give them a call, 803-262-4020. Again, that is 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. And when you mention my name, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you can get a hallway clean for free. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zaquandre White played for Jimbo Fisher.
Are you serious?
Yeah. As a freshman, and then Willie Taggart moved him. He redshirted. Willie Taggart moved him to linebacker. Yeah. 6 if you count. Now 6 if you count Bobo.
Wow.
2 at Florida State, 3 at South Carolina, and then 1 at whatever. school was? What was it? Iowa Western.
Wow. Good call, Craig. That's an interesting little.
Did Craig know that it was Jimbo? Or was Craig using Bobo?
I think Craig knew because I would assume I'll give Craig the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I've read a Gamecock Central article about how playing for Jimbo helped him learn Bobo's offense.
Oh, okay. How about that? Yeah, Anthony. Surprised. Normally Gamecock Larry's willing to stick with it, but he must have had something. It's maybe a doctor arrived. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm debating whether to go. I was definitely going to go.
Straight to end hour bed.
Be safe out there. Rainy morning as I turn around. Looks like it's getting worse down here on Gervais Street, so be safe out there. Coming up at 7:30, Brian Rosefield will join us. We'll talk about the Bash High School basketball tournament going on over at Lexington this week. We'll continue on talking about South Carolina, the offense. We really haven't done much of that this week, so it's time to start breaking that down a little bit. Patrick will get back into his Max Johnson take. That's something
confirmed. Zaquandre White played for Jimbo Fisher. 5 head coaches, not including Mike Bobo.
5 head coaches. Crazy for Zaquandre White. We'll continue talking about that. You listen to the early game, 107.5 The Game. This Bradley Cooper, this is it M. Night?
It's Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Yeah, Nightmare Alley.
Seen any of his other movies?
Huh?
Have you seen any of his other movies?
Probably.
I mean, he is weird. He's a weird director. His 2 most famous movies are Pan's Labyrinth and Shape of Water.
Which was the
Shape of Water.
And Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see either of those. Well, thank you, Chuck. Yes, I'm glad you can't wait to get up each morning and listen to the game. I'm glad you enjoy it. Hopefully, beginning of the year, we'll have a few other things planned and continue to upgrade. I didn't go back and look at how many views we ended up getting on the all right, I got it.
Did you see the goal that the Ducks scored yesterday?
Nah.
Oh, it was unreal. It's definitely in the top 10. They had an alley-oop from behind the goal, behind the net. Guys picked it up and tossed it over the back of the net, and the other guy tapped it in. It was nuts.
Nah, last night was not a good sports night. I tried to watch, I watched a little bit of Texas Tech and Tennessee, and Virginia. Virginia lost to James Madison on the road last night, 52-49. Virginia's 6-5 this year. They're not a very good basketball team.
All right. Here, watch this, Bill. Let's see the live stream. You can see it.
Oh,
and just tapped in.
nice.
It was absurd. I've never seen anything like that. Well, I think they thought he was going for goal. They will, Craig. They will. Just a matter of time. We're trailblazers, though.
Did you guys not watch that live with studio audience on ABC
Oh, yeah, that
last
was
night?
awful. Did you hear that? A
What?
collapsed lung?
Oh, yeah. For
Okay,
Keegan
whatever.
Paul.
Oh, what a catch in that sport that I never watched. What is that?
Cricket. There they are. Goal of the year. Yeah, I'll say. So casual. They could not believe it worked either. Look at his reaction. Oh, come on.
Amen, Lauren.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
We are in our own little world. That's what we need to figure out is how to make this that we can listen to Jen and not have echoes on our computers.
Well, that's why I've got this in. I got it in case she talks, but
Did you hear it? I think she was just talking.
no.
Yeah, I'll watch Klaus on Saturday. That'll be first Christmas movie I've had a chance to watch all the way through.
Wednesday morning. Hope you're doing well out there. Again, it is nasty as I turn around and look at Gervais Street. It is dark. It is rainy. So if you're getting in the car to take the kids to school, be safe. Be safe out there. It is not very nice out there. So be safe. Both hands on the wheel. Just keep the radio on. We will entertain the kids as you get them off to school this morning and get into the middle portion of the week. Army, Navy, this coming weekend will highlight your sports action. South Carolina, Florida State. Also, you got some big basketball this weekend for both South Carolina programs. Dawn Staley's group taking on Maryland on Sunday afternoon. I apologize. I do not know the time. Is it?
I do not know the time.
I don't have it. I'll get it right here in front of me. I know it's here at Colonial Life Arena. The men play Florida State at
3 p.m.
3 p.m. Okay. I knew they did not overlap, but I was thinking 2, and then I was thinking that was last weekend's South Carolina basketball game. So you've got the men on Sunday will go up to Rock Hill for the No Room for Racism tournament up in Rock Hill and take on Florida State. An opportunity there for another brand name victory, something that Frank Martin and his team can continue to use in their quest to get into SEC play, have a good season, and then maybe try and qualify for postseason. You've also got, again, Dawn Staley and her team taking on Maryland this weekend. Maryland was a top 5 team. They lost to North Carolina State a few weeks ago and have since dropped a little bit.
Number 8, I think.
Number 8. So yeah, Maryland is a top 10 team. So it'll be another premier matchup for Dawn Staley's ball club this coming weekend. Just some women's basketball news. Only reason is I click over Paige Beckers. Is it Beckers?
Yep.
Will be out 6 to 8 weeks with a injury for Connecticut. That puts her timeline probably not being back for when Connecticut visits South Carolina on January 27th. So you would doubt she would be back. If she is back, it'll be one of the first games that she would be back for. But more than likely, she will not be with Connecticut when they visit South Carolina on January 27th. So a little bit of basketball news there. You also have Army Navy this weekend, and I asked you early on 803-404-6100 if Army Navy is a bucket list item. Our good buddy Jim in Carolina Beach, who usually sends us very beautiful sunsets, probably not this morning, he says, yeah, definitely a bucket list game, and also sends us a little picture, says, go Army, beat Navy. So should be fun this weekend, 3 o'clock, that game up in New Jersey in the Meadowlands. So the South, you got Army, Navy, you got South Carolina basketball this weekend, NFL this weekend as well, Patrick, as we're kind of coming to a close. And the Joe Brady news, we got into that a little bit yesterday, certainly being let go by the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be interesting to see how Matt Rule and this organization finish out the remainder of the season and where they end up in the NFL draft and what exactly they try to do in the offseason, because I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday. That bright, shining star that was Matt Rule, not so shiny and bright right now if you continue down this path. And we know the NFL, David Tepper wants to win now. And
will spare no expense to do so. He does not care. I mean, he'll waste money, but he's not going to care about Matt Rule's whatever he's got to pay out to Matt Rule to hire a new coach. He will pay any amount of money, and they'll be aggressive. I think it's going to be Deshaun Watson or bust. It's going to have to be. Or if it's not Deshaun Watson, then it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. They're going to have to make a big play for a big name quarterback. It's not the time to just draft a quarterback. Matt Rule does not have that time. I mean, maybe he thinks, because sometimes this works out in coaches' favors, hey, I'm going to draft a player, and this could potentially buy me a couple years because I'll start him year one. I'll start a rookie year one. And if he starts looking better by the end of the season, we'll say, okay, well, we don't want to curb his progression right now. We'll run it back again. So I think they're not going to have a good season. They're not going to have a good end of the season. It's going to get uglier than it already is. They're going to pay Sam Darnold $18 million next year. And I don't know who's going to run their offense, but they're going to have to go in. Matt Rule is going to either go all in for Deshaun Watson or get fired and find himself back in college football in 2 years.
Who would we be tanking for this year?
There's no one to tank for.
I'm looking right now.
The number one pick is probably going to be a pass rusher.
The
Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson.
The Detroit Lions are 1-10-1. There's a lovely record. You got the Texans and the Jags are both 2-10. They're in contention.
The Lions would probably take Aiden Hutchinson number one. Hometown kid. They need pass rushers. There's no quarterback. You're not going to waste the number one pick on a quarterback when there's no separation between them at all.
I'm just trying to kind of glance and see where the Panthers could end up in the draft and what draft pick they might have to be able to entice.
I mean, the best case scenario would probably be they get Evan Neal from Alabama.
Who?
The Panthers.
Well,
their offensive line's terrible.
But no, you got to, if they're going to make a trade for Deshaun Watson, that draft pick is going to have to be included in it, right? That's my point. Is like that's what I was trying to see. I mean, they'll probably get a top, if they continue down the path they're going, they'll probably get a top 10 pick, and you could include that. But you're right. So we'll see. So NFL this weekend as well. Again, coming up tomorrow in his usual time slot. We'll catch up with Brian Edwards. You can follow him on Twitter at VegasBEdwards to do that. Tomorrow night, Pittsburgh at Minnesota. The Ben Roethlisberger farewell tour continues. He's going to retire, right? Like, he's basically said he's not. The general feeling is he's not going to go play for another team, right?
If another team was going to allow him to play, then that's, I don't know. That there's no one that should be.
Doesn't make any sense to you if another team picks him up.
He's so bad right now.
Saskatchewan.
He's so bad right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if he's offered a job that is mismanagement, that's gross mismanagement of a franchise. So yeah, I believe that he will be retiring this year.
803-404-6100. That's how you can join us. A little bit of NFL talk there. If you want to join us on the Buford Lending live stream, Artia, Jason, Jan weighing in. Jan says, happy birthday to big George Rogers, as it is apparently his birthday today. I did not know that. Chuck, Robin, all weighing in this morning. The live stream, its own little community. You can go and join the fun. All you need to do is go to our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com. Search 1075 The Game and click subscribe. We ask that you subscribe, and you can join there. You can also go to the 1075 The Game Facebook page and watch us and interact there as well. Again, a lot of interaction there as people having their own conversation. You can also join us this morning on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line or the Love Chevy phone lines. 803-404-6100 is how you can join us. Richard weighs in there, Patrick, and I feel like this is more for you. He says, I'd put Sam Howell, I think he means Kenny Pickett. He said Cody Pickett, but that might have gotten to you. Kenny Pickett up against any quarterback taken in the draft last year except maybe Mac Jones, who mentally is far beyond his years as quarterback. Real quick, let me just say this to Richard and then get your take. I continue to believe a quarterback is only as good as his organization. And Mac Jones was certainly ready mentally, having played for Nick Saban. But I also think going to the Bill Belichick model, in which Monday night, like I don't know how many passes did Josh Allen threw 14, I believe. 4 of 14. Does that seem right?
He threw like 30 passes.
Did Josh Allen throw 30? Am I way off?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing about going to an organization that knows how to help their players is they make them better. And I think Bill Belichick right now is helping make Mac Jones a better player.
Josh Allen was 15 of 30.
Good
Mac
grief.
Jones was 2 of 3.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing that's taking care of your rookie quarterback and not putting the game on his shoulders. I think a lot of quarterbacks would have gone to Bill Belichick and they would have done Josh McDaniels as well. They would have done pretty good this year because they know how to run an organization and bring their players along. 803-404-6100. The South Carolina news of the morning, Zaquandre White. We've been talking about that a little bit. Putting out on Instagram yesterday that he will forego the bowl game and begin preparing for the NFL draft immediately. Patrick, maybe he finds his way into a late round draft pick, 6th, 7th. I mean, certainly we've saw glimpses of what he could do. I think also he could make an impact on special teams down the line because of his versatility. Maybe he could catch on to a practice squad and then work his way onto a full active roster. But where do you put? Certainly it doesn't help, but how much does this impact or how much does it change your view of the bowl game, knowing that you do still have Kevin Harris and Marshawn Lloyd and Juju McDowell back there that you can hand the ball off to?
Yeah, it doesn't change much for me. I think I just generally fall in the line of running backs are more replaceable than pretty much any position. And obviously they're more important in college than they are in the pros. And Zaquandre White, South Carolina there's a couple games South Carolina doesn't win without Zaquandre White. Certainly they don't win the Auburn game. And I don't know what other wins you would attribute directly to him, but Auburn was, I think, the one that stands out where he put South Carolina's offense on his back that night. So it doesn't help, but I think if the game plan isn't good and you don't have a good plan for this North Carolina defense, which I don't know enough about right now, and I'll have to look into that more, but if you can put together a game plan, which, I mean, Marcus Satterfield has shown that given an extra week to prepare, he can come in and put together a good plan because Florida, after the bye week, South Carolina just absolutely dominated on the ground. So if you find something in the film when you have 3 weeks to watch film for North Carolina and you see they're susceptible to this and South Carolina can just keep hitting them with the same play over and over and over again, then maybe you're in business because Kevin Harris was also really good against Florida and Marshawn Lloyd has had moments. And if there's a change of pace deal that you find North Carolina's like susceptible on the edges and Juju McDowell can get after them with like quick screens or toss plays or anything along those lines, I don't doubt that that's going to be a possibility. So I think it hurts that Zaquandre White's not there, but it doesn't make me think that if I thought that South Carolina was going to win the game, Zaquandre White not being there would never make me think, okay, well now they're going to lose.
That's a good point on that. And again, we'll see. We will see what the offense looks like. Shane Beamer, I believe, will meet with the media. I don't have my emails right in front of me, but I believe a bowl press conference maybe takes place, like a Zoom press conference, maybe takes place later today, and we'll hear more about it. I don't expect any offensive coordinator news. And again, quite frankly, I kind of expect Marcus Satterfield to be the offensive coordinator for the bowl game. I think that upsets people more than Zaquandre White leaving, but
Yeah.
the opportunity to get maybe Marshawn Lloyd a few extra carries, to get Kevin Harris maybe going a little bit more, to see what Jason Brown. I will say for the bowl game, this is another tryout for Jason Brown. I think there's going to be a wide open quarterback competition when we get into the spring that's going to involve Jason Brown. It's going to involve what you hope to be a healthy Luke Doty. And I think you hope it's going to involve a transfer quarterback. And the name that popped up last night, Max Johnson, former LSU starting quarterback, is entered the transfer portal. Patrick, were you surprised by that? Just Brian Kelly coming in? I got to admit, the transfer portal is so crazy now. You see kids from Oklahoma bailing out left and right. South Carolina going after Austin Stogner, Spencer Rattler, the quarterback and tight end from Oklahoma. Now you've got Max Johnson and his brother Jake Johnson, the number one tight end recruit in the country. He was not actually Jake Johnson, the tight end, was not actually at LSU. He was a recruit here in this particular class, but now he decommits. But were you surprised at Max Johnson leaving? Because I would feel like with Brian Kelly coming in, maybe you'd feel like he's a guy who can develop you and get you ready for the NFL a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering what happened in the last 24 hours at LSU where Max Johnson decommits or is transferring, Dakotas Crawford decommits, and then Deion Smith, their freshman wide receiver, also is transferring. I don't know if it was something like Brian Kelly met with the team or did individual meetings or something, or something got around where kids decided, you know what, I gave it a week to think about it. I don't want to play for this guy, and they all decided it at once. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Was it the fake accent?
But that
what
was a
got
couple
him? They
days
heard-
ago. I mean, it would have made more sense if the next day everyone said, "Okay, we're out of here. We're not playing for this jabroni." Like, I don't know, and it's I don't know why does he want a head start on getting recruited? I mean, because I don't see why he wouldn't play in the bowl game. I mean, LSU does have the last bowl game, so it kind of limits you if you wait all the way until January 4th, I think, is LSU's bowl game against Kansas State. But Garrett Nussmeier, the backup, is gonna have to burn his red shirt because he's the only scholarship quarterback left, and he's gonna have to burn his red shirt to
Well,
start in the bowl game.
he's not played in 4 games, has he?
I think this will be his 4th game.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. That's what I read yesterday is that he's gonna have to burn the red shirt just to play in the bowl game. So, I don't know. Maybe there's LSU fans that are looking at it on the positive side of things are gonna say Walker Howard, that big time quarterback, is gonna come in next year and take the starting job no matter who's there. So anyone that transfers is just scared of competing with Walker Howard. So I don't know exactly what the reason is, but it's hard to imagine that it doesn't have something to do with not liking Brian Kelly or something that he has said or indicated.
Unless there's something that I'm missing. Nussmeier has played in 4 games already. McNeese State, Central Michigan, Mississippi, and Arkansas. Actually, must have played a lot against Arkansas back on November 13th because he was 18 of 30.
But you can play in 4 and still redshirt.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so his 5th
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
803-404-6100. That's a good point. I forget about that. Math eludes me again. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
How did you?
Actually, 3. Are they pairs? Okay. So 3 pairs for 3 people win a pair of tickets.
Getting you through a Wednesday morning, 7:26 here on December 8th. Again, rainy out there, so just be safe. Be safe. A little chilly as well. So sit back, relax, enjoy a little sports talk radio. We'll get back into the South Carolina, North Carolina football discussion and some recruiting as well. But joined now by Brian Rosefield. Good. How long have we known each other now,
Well, I
Brian?
was going to ask you off the air. I can't remember. I know it was the AAU basketball camp circuit. I really don't remember. It's been a long time. It's been a great relationship.
I feel like we even might have coached against you because you did some JV coaching early on, didn't
That's
you?
right.
Just
That's
like
right.
when I was at Lexington, and I don't know where you were at the.
I was at Ridgeview.
Okay.
I'm sure that's what it was.
So,
Had
yeah,
some good battles out there, some
I
high-level JV hoops.
I did not perform particularly well against the athletes at Ridgeview. My athletes at Lexington didn't match up. Bailey would always pull the good players up to varsity, and so I would have the JV team would be a mixture of 8th and 9th grade, 10th graders, and at Ridgeview, you got some athletes wandering the
Some of
hallways
them
over
might
there.
be listening right now. Your
They
former
know. They
JV
know. Trust me. They
players.
played for me. They heard.
Right.
I was
Come
yelling
on.
at my son Austin last night. If I'm yelling at a 9-year-old like that, I believe the 9th and 10th graders understand.
Sure, some of the JV players were good.
They were. That's the tricky part about JV basketball, really, is that you're right. The varsity coach is going to pull those kids, even if they
Yeah.
sit the bench at varsity level. If you have a good JV team, that means you're usually pretty stacked at the varsity level.
Yeah. If you're there was Ridgeview and North Augusta were the two that I ran into. The funniest story I have, and then we'll talk. Brian's here with the Bash. It's a great basketball tournament taking place over Ridgeview this weekend. But the funny story that I've got was Patrick, is when I was growing up playing JV for Lexington. We beat Columbia's JV team twice pretty badly. Like we beat them. They'd moved all their guys up, and Columbia's varsity was pretty good. They had a guy named Bryant Matthews. If you remember Bryant. Bryant went to play at Virginia Tech. So we went to play him a third time, and we go over to Columbia High School. They brought all those guys down to play us, and Bryant was one of those guys, and they beat us by about 90. I mean, they just wore us out. But I made a particular pass over to the right wing, and Bryant stepped in front of it, and I sprinted back, and being the Bailey Harris disciple that I was,
Took
and
a charge?
went to take a charge. Well,
Yeah.
I took the charge. I got the charge. I also got a knee to the neck. he got to about, I had played some AAU with Bryant, and so I knew him, and he got about 3/4 of the way down the court, and he knew he could jump over me. He felt confident he was going to go over top of me, and thankfully I was just far enough out in the lane that his takeoff was a little late.
Yeah.
I ended up in the padding under the goal behind the basket, and preserved what would have been a long YouTube clip of me being hurdled for a dunk. So
I was going to say, good news is that overtime wasn't there to film it and throw it out there.
Yeah.
And
totally different. So you guys, another year, another great high school event. You will get going tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Keenan versus Augusta Christian, 7:30 Orangeville Prep versus Gray Collegiate. And then 9 o'clock, the Patrick School against Ridgeview. But let's just start with putting an event on like this. 3 days, tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. And you can actually call in right now, 803-404-6100. We have 3 pairs of 2 tickets. 3 pairs of 2 tickets. You can call in right now and win 3 pairs of 2 tickets. Jen is waiting. So if you don't get through right away, keep calling. 803-404-6100 is how you can call in right now. Over at Ridgeview High School. Again, they are tickets to every session, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But putting on an event like this, Brian, all the work that goes into it, recruiting the schools to come down. I know that you get to this point. This is actually the easy point because it's the other 362 days that's stressful.
Yeah, it takes a lot of planning. It's a special event for all of us at Ridgeview High School. It's the 9th year we've done it. First 7 years with Bojangles. We love our Bojangles folks. This was previously the Bojangles Bash. And so the event has grown from that year one in 2013 with 6 teams to where I think it was 2016. We had 18 teams and 15 games. So this year with 15 teams and 12 games over 3 days of basketball, we're super excited about it. All the information fans need to know is at thebashhoops.com. You mentioned those tickets. We are limited with seating this year because of COVID-19 restrictions within our district. So we encourage fans to get their tickets early. They are all online, no cash at the door this year. So get those tickets early. Come out. You mentioned that first slate of games on Thursday night. Every session, we do 4 sessions over 3 days. Every session is loaded with local schools versus national schools, a couple of locals versus local as well. But it's a great way for us to tip off the high school basketball season. It's obviously after high school football is over, between the bowl season. Everybody's excited about South Carolina Bowl and Clemson Bowls, everything like that. But it's a great way for fans to see what high school basketball is going to be like in South Carolina and nationally and even internationally this year when we have Orangeville Prep coming down from Canada again, who's going to bring another loaded team. It's just, like I said, the event has grown to where we've had multiple kids now that have played in our event that are now playing in the NBA. I believe we have 6 current kids now, not we, but we have 6 kids that played in the event or that are playing in the NBA right now. So it's, again, great chance for fans to come out and see who's going to be the next big thing. And we mentioned overtime, the media push around this event at the Bash Hoops on social, but even through our media partners is just incredible. It's exciting. It's all about, I thought about it this morning as I was doing some writing this morning. It's all about the experience. Like we love basketball. We have coaches that want to win games and kids that want to win games to get scholarships, but it's all about the experience for the players, the coaches, and the fans. That's all we're doing, just to show people a good time, especially after a difficult last year and a half. We keep saying the last year and a half. It's going into 2 years now of difficulty with this pandemic.
Well, isn't that because there's a team from Canada? Hasn't the travel I guess, how long ago did you book them, or did they know they were coming? Because hasn't that been a huge issue?
It's been a huge
Across the
issue.
border?
So you mentioned talking about recruiting the teams, Bill. We talked about probably 10 months ago, Tony and I, at Orangeville, and he's the one that called me. They came down a few years ago and had a great time. They teams just call us and say, hey, we just want to come. We just want to come. And so we talked, and I said, Tony, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Y'all gonna be able to make it? He said, I think we'll be able to make it, but if we can't, I'll let you know ahead of time. Their travel, we talk about JV basketball at Lexington and Ridgeview. it's a different world when you get to top level prep high school basketball, especially in Orangeville or Patrick School or Orlando Christian Prep, just to name a few. They have been traveling for the last, like you said, 35 days. So they've been in the United States for just over a month. So border crossing, anything like that is not an issue for them. They have their own protocols and policies that they have to meet for their school with COVID testing and all that kind of stuff. So they are here. They're going to make it. That was a concern, but we started thinking about it a couple months ago. Like, oh boy, they're going to be able to make it. But they are in town and ready to go.
The Friday session will feature North Mecklenburg from Charlotte versus Dutch Fork. Brett Jones, my former JV coach, who, if you see Coach Jones, he never let me off the bench. He did for like a couple games and then just found a spot down at the end of the bench for me. But he does a great job over there. Obviously, has built Dutch Fork up into some really good things basketball-wise. We talk about him as a football program, but Coach Jones over there. You've got the Patrick School again and Orangeville Prep. That should be a really good one. Friday night, 7:30 is how you can see that. And then Ridgeview and Orlando Christian Prep. But talk a little bit more about these teams and maybe some of the guys that people can see when they come to watch an event and which team they'd be playing with.
Yeah, so just locally thinking about our guys at Ridgeview right now, ranked number 1 in preseason in 5A. And if folks don't know about GG Jackson yet, they should and they will. He's a top 25 kid in the 2023 class, and offers from our University of South Carolina, even up to Duke, North Carolina, Virginia. Right. We're getting word that some of those guys are going to be coming in the gym, flying in, and he is as good as advertised. And the thing that gets us excited the most, he's a great kid. He's just one of those goofy high school kids that's going to go. He will get paid to play basketball at a high level. 6'8", 6'9", can play facing the basket, back to the basket. So he is electric. You can see him all 3 nights. Again, locally, Cam Scott from Lexington, another top 25 kid. He is just absolutely unbelievable. And then another top player from Orlando Christian Prep, Ben Allen Lubin, that's going to Notre Dame. Just to name 3 kids that fans can come out and see on multiple nights here. But team-wise, again, talking about our Ridgeview guys, AC Flora locally, Keenan locally, Dutch Fork, you mentioned Blythewood, Cardinal Newman, Gray, Keenan, I think I've already said them. And nationally, you mentioned the North Mech team. They've come down the last couple of years. They've had kids that they just keep sending to college and over again. So it's another loaded field, 15 teams, as I mentioned before. And we're just can't wait to get it tipped off.
You and I, we've been around high school basketball for a while, and you mentioned, and this isn't specifically with GG Jackson, but it's the new era that is college basketball where kids can leave and they can go sign these deals. We just saw with Jasmine Gortman over at Keenan. You've been around basketball in the Midlands for a while. How do you see this sport, how do you see it evolving? Because I don't like what I'm seeing. I understood what Gortman did. I really don't like players that are transferring out of Columbia to go play at prep schools when everything that they've built themselves up to be was through here in Columbia. But that's fine. Go do that. But how do you see high school basketball evolving? You're kind of more feet on the ground there than I am now. I'm away from it, but it's because Jackson will have. I guess he's a senior this year. I'm right. He's a junior, so he's going to have opportunities. So again, I'm not really asking in relation to him, but he is a big time prospect. Right. He is a big time prospect, and you're having to deal with that. And we're seeing other kids. Gortman just did that, and he's making money. I can't blame him. How do you take it?
It's an interesting question. I'm somewhere. I don't know if I'm in the middle. Whatever. It's like I tell coaches that want to leave and take different jobs. Hey, I want you to be happy. And I guess, like you say, the old school way of looking at it, like, you've grown up here, you've played your basketball here, you need to finish here and stick it out. It's just not the reality. It's just not the landscape anymore. So if they can leave and make some money, hey, that's great. My only concern with it is it is just blown up so quickly. Which of these options is really not, I don't want to say legitimate, but which one is going to sustain these kids long term? Where these kids that are leaving to get paid, that's basically saying, okay, I'm forfeiting potentially my college. I can go to college, but I just can't play in college now. Again, that may change as things are changing more and more and more. But I really do. I want kids, I want families, and like I said earlier, I want my coaches to do the thing that they feel like they need to do for them and for their family. And also it's somewhat disappointing when we may have kids and teams that are signed up and kids start bouncing around leaving. But my experience with doing this 9 years, I found that, we may quote unquote, lose a top prospect from a team that's coming in, but it's always going to even out maybe that year or the future years where kids are going to transfer in. And I think about Jonathan Kaminga, who played in our event, and he is I think I can say this, he is the best high school player I have ever seen. And a few weeks before the event, he transferred into our Savior New American in 2018. And we just had them coming down, and here comes the unbelievable player that is Jonathan Kaminga into our event. So it all evens out from an event standpoint. But like I said, just to sum that long answer up, it's just, hey, what's best for you? And that's what I feel.
Patrick, you from the DC area, you get best high school basketball player you've ever seen? Can you think off the top of your head?
I went to Montrose Christian was local, so I mean Kevin Durant was around there, but he was a little before my time. Like Grievous Vasquez was there from Maryland. A lot of Terps played there. That was the powerhouse.
But do you have one that you saw in person?
Grievous Vasquez.
Yeah. You got one? You and I, we've been around and you've seen a bunch of them. You got the best one that you can think of that you saw in person?
Yeah.
As a high school player?
Akil Carr also, though. That was just the highlight reel.
Which one was he?
He was the short kid from Baltimore. He's like 5'6" or something like that, but a really tight handle. We played him in the state championship.
Yeah, I'm stuck on Kaminga right now. I've never seen a kid get into the lane like he can. Complete player, can shoot it from outside. If I think of somebody else here locally, but I'm just thinking about him just slithering down the lane when he was here in 2018. He was absolutely incredible.
I'm trying to think back. I saw I'm just the best. I've seen better players. They went on to have great careers, but one of the best, Mario Chalmers, who I saw down at the beach. I can't remember what the name of that tournament is now, but I saw him out of Alaska, put up about a 40-point game and just was fantastic. I remember the one that I played against, that just being there and seeing his speed, and I still put him up there as the scariest basketball player because he could just put you on a highlight tape so quick, was Ed Scott. Ed Scott, when I played against, or I had to actually go on the court against him for about 5 minutes, and I made sure a buddy of mine, Benjamin Ryan, was going to be the guy that guarded him just in case something went horribly wrong. But Ed Scott was just dominant for Lower Richland back in the day. Went on to a great career at Clemson. But we have a lot of these great kids that come through, and again, kind of talk about where people can get tickets if they want to come visit. You mentioned limited seating, and you guys are doing everything through the internet and digitally this year, which is how we'll email the tickets out. But talk about where people can go get the tickets here.
Yeah, so the bashhoops.com, there's a link for tickets there. And if you navigate over to ridgeviewsports.com too for our main school's sports website, you can get them there as well. So definitely, again, we always you know me, I'm a people pleaser. I hate shutting the doors on folks and saying, I'm sorry, we are at capacity, but it's going to happen again this year. It's happened for the previous 9 years or previous 8 years. It's going to happen again this year. So the bashhoops.com, get your tickets, get them early, tell a friend about it, and come on out and enjoy some great high school hoops.
Should be a really, really good one on Saturday at 1:30. I've mentioned it, my alma mater, Lexington and Cam Scott. You mentioned him, Brian, and Patrick, I think you just mentioned that there was a tweet out that Frank Martin.
He just popped up my timeline because Frank Martin was retweeting him, posting his game times for.
There you go.
Bash, yep.
So he will play, but he will play against Gray Collegiate on Saturday at 1:30, and that should be one that you'll have a packed gym. I would encourage you, if you can go and get tickets. Again, you can go to the bashhoops.com and you can purchase your tickets there. But that's got to be one that, in terms of locally, it's going to be one of the better, especially one-on-one matchups of the weekend.
Right. So I mentioned earlier, we really try to do the national matchup versus the local matchup. And this is one where we rarely put a local versus local. We think it's going to be a lot of fun. All those kids know each other, same side of town. Coaches know each other. That one will be a lot of fun. And teams that really don't play each other a whole lot unless it's in a special event like this. And so really excited about that matchup. Dion's done a great job over at Gray, obviously multiple state titles over there, and LA doing a fantastic job at Lexington, obviously with Cam doing it as a top player in the country. So that'll be a high level matchup. Those kids will really want to get after each other. And it's that one's, as we were putting together the schedule, there have been a couple of matchups over the years. If you remember Hammond and AC Flora a couple of years ago, and Seventh Woods was at Hammond, just the entire town of Forest Acres and the like just packed in our gym for a couple hours and they were gone. It was so much fun. So that one's going to be a lot of fun. And you mentioned the website. I want to talk about our social media too, at the Bash Hoops across all social media platforms. That's one of the things that we've done really, really well. And we've got some other things planned for this year too. So even over to TikTok this year, we are adopting it and getting it into TikTok. So anything at the Bash Hoops on social media, check it out. We've got a fantastic social media team this year is going to be spreading the word about the event.
Yeah, and you can go to the website, thebashhoops.com is where you can purchase your tickets. And we'll finish with that in just a second. But you've been around South Carolina basketball for a while. You're familiar with Frank Martin's program and the Gamecocks so far, 6-2 on the season. The loss last week to Coastal, but the really good bounce back win against Georgetown. What have you seen from South Carolina so far this year?
I first of all love Frank Martin, love his staff to death. They have been nothing but first class to me and all of South Carolina basketball high school coaches. So what he's doing with South Carolina basketball, I am absolutely in love with it. I've been in love with him since he got here, and obviously the Final Four run a few years back was it was surreal just to be there and say, "What, South Carolina is in the Final Four? Are you kidding me?" So he is the right man for the job. He is doing an unbelievable job here in South Carolina. And you're right, 6-2, come back and bounce back against a very good Georgetown team, which, by the way, I don't know if we've talked about it, or I know we haven't talked about it here. That game featured 3 former Ridgeview student athletes, basketball players, Javon Benson, Malcolm Wilson, and Caden Rice. So for them to beat a really, really good Georgetown team was a great bounce back win after some difficulties down at the coast.
Good to see college basketball back. I watched last night. The Jimmy V Classic was on at Madison Square Garden. But so far this year, it's been nice to see fans back in the stands and the energy and the enthusiasm. Patrick and I think kind of talked about it last year. The NCAA tournament just wasn't the same for an event that I think everybody enjoys, whether you're a college basketball fan or not. But it's been nice, and I think for you, I know there's still some protocols that have to be adhered to. But as you've gotten back into the high school season, to be able to get fans back in and kind of do things normally, it's got to be nice to see some crowds back in.
It's nice, and I think it's I don't know how much time we have left. I think it's needed just for the world, for people to be able to connect. I understand being safe and distancing and things like that, but I do worry about the emotional toll that it's taken on folks and it's taken on me. So to be able to have people back in our gym, I live for this. For me personally, just I get a ton of energy from being in a gym full of fans, and like I said, we can't fill it with fans. We'll have a good crowd. But you're right. It's great for everybody, great for the world. Like I said, back to that experience piece, that it creates great experiences for everybody involved.
Go purchase your tickets. Thebashhoops.com is where you can do that. You can purchase tickets Thursday, Friday, Saturday is the way to do that. And again, you can go check that out. You can also follow them on Twitter at @TheBashHoops. They tweeted at us last night. We've retweeted it. Again, Twitter, @TheBashHoops. You can go and purchase your tickets on thebashhoops.com. Excuse me. If I take Ridgeview out of it, so that you're not being biased, give people, if they can only make one game this weekend, if you can only make one game, what is the one game that people need to highlight and come out and see some great high school basketball? Busy Thursday, busy Friday, busy Saturday. So give me one that doesn't involve Ridgeview that you're particularly excited about.
Oh, man, that's a incredibly difficult question.
Also, next we'll ask you to pick your favorite child after that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with. I mean, there's 2 that I'm looking at.
Two.
But
All right.
well, I'll tell it to you since you said 2. The Friday night 7:30 matchup that you mentioned in Patrick School and Orangeville Prep, 2 national perennial powers, and then Saturday night at 7:00, Orlando Christian Prep, a nationally ranked team versus the Patrick School again. Those are 2 just dynamite national matchups.
Some great high school basketball taking place. Get over to Ridgeview High School this weekend. Brian, appreciate you stopping by this morning.
Thank you guys very much.
Always appreciate being a part of this event. Look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thank you guys.
Take care. We'll continue on. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Fellas, thank you very much.
It's all right. We got. Sorry, we got donuts delivered. And they're messy, so we can't eat them in here. No, not yet.
There's my mainly soup diet for some of them. Yeah, they Brian brought chicken butt donuts, and we're out there sampling. I've never had it. We should have a Christmas party. It's a good point, Jen. Hope.
Who's hosting?
Yeah, who's hosting the Christmas party? I'd actually host, but I don't think I have parking available. You guys would have to all park and ride together, one car, just a big clown car. I just had some kind of chocolate donut with peanut butter on it, and I was trying to go through a little bit of a diet.
I'm not. I'm having another one after
I
this.
ate a bunch of soup yesterday, or soup. Big thank you to Brian Rosefield. Make sure you get to the website, thebashhoops.com. Great event this weekend over at Ridgeview. Starts tomorrow night, Friday and Saturday. Some great local games going on, as well as national games. You can see, as Brian mentioned, some really good ones. Orlando Christian Prep versus the Patrick School, a fantastic national matchup Saturday night. And then Gray Collegiate versus Lexington Saturday afternoon, 1:30. Great game there. We'll get back into some football discussion. Zaquandre White, Josh Vann. Some potential big news with Josh Vann. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Yeah, maybe a Christmas party. I mean, honestly, what we could do, well, I see where you're going with that, Craig, but we could incorporate Brian Glenn and make it maybe an afternoon Christmas party. I'm trying to think. Honestly, the best Christmas party we could do is a watch party. And we could subject ourselves to all watching South Carolina. We could bring hopes, positivity. We bring ho, ho, ho. Yeah, that's where I was going with that. My voice is still shot. But we could do a watch party for the South Carolina Clemson basketball game, or a bowl game, actually. I mean, if we wanted to do it like on Saturday, we'd probably get Brian Glenn. The students would be out. So I don't think we would be too subjected to a bunch of college kids. Although we love the college kids.
We just needed to be from like 9:15 to noon.
A Christmas party in the morning?
Yeah.
No, we do it on the weekend.
No. Well, I work.
Oh, Christmas. Hope, you suggested a party. We're all agreeing with you. I think we're agreeing. Aren't we agreeing? Yeah, Chuck said great idea. And then people started suggesting. I just said, "Nah, you didn't get shot." I was just saying we could bring your positivity to the party. We could do a watch party for and a Christmas party. Actually, it wouldn't be the worst thing is to meet at the Village Idiot on the December 18th. South Carolina plays Clemson at 8 p.m. We could go early and you could watch like the first half and then go home. Meet at like 6. Everybody hang out, mingle, and watch bowl games. Clemson game is at Clemson.
I'll be at work.
On that Saturday night? You're gonna have to work on that Saturday? Oh boy.
Yeah, starting Sunday, I work every day until Christmas Eve.
Just a thought. It's the look, it's you guys live stream. You can come up with it. But yeah, Village Idiot. I mean, more relaxed, casual. We can support Brian. We can maybe even make a donation for the pizza. Was it pizza for preemies? Is that what his thing was? I think. I think Patrick's going to get another donut. He's going to get another donut. I might have to go out. That I don't know. Looks like just like a cream cheese. Here you go. Can you get in there? Yeah. There's our chicken butt donuts. I'm kind of still snacking on a chocolate one. That's look pretty good. I'm gonna have to do some research. I may have to take the kids out there. Is it good to go? Can you go in the afternoon? I'm not open in the afternoon. You just said that. Here, put this over there next year. So we got that there. As long as it's. Yeah, Patrick went with. Oh, Patrick took the bacon.
Yeah.
Patrick went with the bacon one.
Dave, for you, like I said, I can't. So. You can sometimes I've done something that has like chocolate and a like a raspberry glaze.
I agree, Chuck.
Do what? Chocolate.
Live stream. It's good. I like the chocolate one better.
The actual some days of the week they have an actual chocolate, like the cake is chocolate. And that's good.
I would like that.
Yeah. But there's only certain days a week they have that.
Do you have to go in the morning, or can you go like?
Yeah, they make them all day.
Yeah.
Like during the week, I think maybe they're only open until like 2 or 3, something like that. But on the weekend, then they have more regular hours. I think one of the things of it is just it's a local place too.
Yeah.
You just want to support the local guy. And there was one time where they got robbed, like somebody broke in, and I'll tell you what, the community rallied around them, you know. But it's crunchy, and that's I think the part that makes them really good.
Yeah. Right, go back in there with your 3 pebble heads. Morning, how you doing?
Okay.
I'm good. Whew. That would require some milk.
Yeah, sorry, I turned my mic off when I realized how crunchy it was. All right, we're back. The show over yet?
One more hour.
Okay.
Yeah, Jason, that's pretty good. I might actually take the kids out there and see what.
5, the game.
Hour number 3 upon us on a Wednesday morning, a rainy, nasty Wednesday morning. So if you're out and about, please be safe. Get to where you're going safely and hang out with the coworkers. Discuss a little bowl season. That's what it is. South Carolina and North Carolina, December 30th, 11:30 a.m. The Duke's Mayo Bowl, Clemson and Iowa State on December 29th, 5:45, the Cheez-It Bowl. So we will have the Gamecocks and the Tigers playing back-to-back there. We'll be able to get into that on December 29th and December 30th, but already discussing it a little bit. And the news last night, Zaquandre White, South Carolina running back, opting out of the bowl game, will begin preparing immediately for the NFL draft. And Patrick, I feel like the opinion this morning is, hey, he basically, without Zaquandre White, South Carolina's not in a bowl game. They don't beat Auburn. They don't win that game. And so the feeling I get this morning, especially as you mentioned, with some depth at running back, Kevin Harris, maybe wanting to see Marshawn Lloyd a little bit more, maybe seeing if they can get the ball to Juju McDowell, is congratulations. I understand some people are saying, not particularly thrilled with it, but understanding it's his decision. Running back, you're one hit away from maybe a career-ending injury. Go to the league, young man. Try and make your money. Try and catch on with a team. And best of luck to you, because quite frankly, without Zaquandre White, South Carolina probably doesn't beat Auburn, and they're not even in this position.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone's upset about it, it's just you're wasting your energy being upset about it. I mean, that's just it is the new normal, and especially for that position. The only position that people aren't opting out of bowl games is quarterback, just because
And punter.
and punter.
Punter.
Is Matt Araiza gonna kick
I was
punt
just
for San Diego State?
I was just wondering that. Is he draft eligible? Is he a
I hope so. They should change the rule if he's not.
That's true.
He's already the best punter in the NFL too. But yeah, it just makes sense. He's been in college for 5 years. Zaquandre White has, so time. I mean, it just is. You're this close to the finish line. There's no reason to come back for another year. It's not going to help you at all. Really, no matter how well you played, because age is going to be factored in at some point for scouts and teams in the draft. So yeah, just be happy for him. And it's going to decrease your. It's not going to help you. It's going to make it more difficult to beat North Carolina without your most dynamic running back. But it's not substantial enough that I think it would change the point spread at all. I don't think it's not the same thing as Sam Howell deciding to opt out for North Carolina, which would change the point spread by probably 3 points, at least.
Speaking of that, of the point spread, I guess that there were mistakes made early on. As I look at Vegas Insider now, they have, excuse me, they have the lines up for the bowl games now, and it now lists North Carolina as having opened as a 5.5 point favorite. I think that's what we all thought it would be.
Yeah.
I think somewhere they had it back, and again, Vegas Insider is just giving you the point spreads from every book. So BetMGM, Caesar Sportsbook, and Circa have now all elevated the South Carolina, North Carolina point spread. The Tar Heels are now -7 to 7.5, depending on where you look at. 58 and 57 are the numbers on the over-under. So we will continue to monitor that. But certainly Zaquandre White, a big part of South Carolina's offense late in the season. But you know what? It all comes down to the play calling and even the offensive line. And quite frankly, if Zaquandre White is there and the play calling is as it was against Clemson, Patrick, and the offensive line blocks as they did against Clemson and in other games, it really doesn't matter if I'm back there, if you're back there, or if Zaquandre White's back there. South Carolina's offense isn't gonna move. This comes down to execution, and in my opinion, having a solid game plan from whomever the offensive coordinator is going to be, whether that's Satterfield or somebody else.
Yeah, because all of the running backs that are going to be able to play for South Carolina are talented. That's not the issue. It's just the one thing that you're missing with Saquandre White is more of the ability to make something out of nothing. And I think that's what Saquandre White did really well this year, is just running physically. You called it running angry. And if the blockers are not there, he's the one guy that has been consistently making guys miss. The first guy has rarely gotten Saquandre White down this year. And if the game plan is good, South Carolina is going to be okay. You can't just rely on Zaquandre White. Even if he was playing in this game, you wouldn't be able to just rely on him getting stuffed in the backfield, but busting one outside and making a bunch of guys miss and making just magic happen. You can't count on that.
803-404-6100. That's how you can join us this morning. Cool Care Heating and Air text line, or on the Love Chevy phone lines. You can join in on the Buford Lending live stream as well, where it appears we are moving toward a live stream Christmas party. We're all working on that, and Trey informs us as well. We have 32 teams for our early game bowl pick'em. Patrick, tell people where they can go for the bowl pick'em.
Well, you got to go to Twitter. All of our Twitter.
You got to go to Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, it's ESPN.com. If you go to the Capital One Bowl Mania, you can type in the early game 107.5, and you should be able to find it. But you need to have an ESPN account, and the easiest way is just to go on Twitter to any of our Twitter pages and just follow the link.
There you go. Whit weighing in this morning on the Buford Lending live stream. He says, I felt lost signing into Twitter and still not good at navigating, but he got his bowl picks in. So we have 32 people already in for the bowl pick'em. You can go and join as well to be a part of the early game bowl pick'em. 803-404-6100. Chuck weighs in regarding the Zaquandre White opting out and says, I'd give Marshawn Lloyd as many touches as possible within reason in the bowl game to keep him happy. I don't know if it's a matter of keeping him happy. It's a matter of seeing what he can do. Giving him chances to see what he can do. Zaquandre White Marshawn Lloyd has gotten touches at times. At the end of the season, it's hard to argue that he should have gotten more touches because of the performance of Zaquandre White. But I agree. I think there's a lot of fans, a lot of people who are now kind of ready to see what Marshawn Lloyd, Patrick, can do next year. How he can impact the offense. He should be he should be comfortable with a few more practices. Lloyd this year, 64 carries, 228 yards. He only had down the stretch in the last 3 games, kind of as Zaquandre White came on, he only had 15 touches and did not have any against Auburn. So only 15 carries in the final 3 games. Now against Florida, this is the one we also kind of talked about him starting to have a little bit of a breakout. He had 7 for 46 yards. One of them was a long of 40 yards, but it looked like he was kind of turning the corner. I'm with people on that. I also, if Marshawn Lloyd goes out and doesn't particularly perform well, I'm not going to blame him. I'm with anonymous texter. None of it will matter if Satterfield is still calling plays. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but I do agree with that texter. Marshawn Lloyd might be fully healthy. If you have a poor game plan or the offensive line can't block, we're not going to be able to tell a thing about him.
No, and what do you know about the North Carolina defense?
That they give
average.
Up points at times, yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if they have – I don't know what's on their defensive line. I know one player on their defensive line probably, Miles Murphy, because South Carolina thought he was going to come to South Carolina. So that's about it. But you should be able to, with weeks to prepare, you should be ready for this matchup. I mean, your offensive line, if they're not in sync or blocking different guys and clearly don't know what's going on and missing assignments, that is a bad sign. But I weirdly do have a little bit of confidence in the offensive staff being able to devise with basically a month to prepare, one good game plan and a couple runs that are going to work. I mean, that's kind of been the issue, is that it just seems everything seems all jumbled up, and it's like we want to get to these plays, so we'll run them if they make sense within the game flow or not. I just want to see a clear plan, whether that's I would hope that it would be with the fullback, Trey Jones at fullback, because it's been successful in the 2 games that you've really run the ball well. So I'd like to see that. But yeah, just a steady dose of Kevin Harris and Marshawn Lloyd. I would think that for your sake and for Marshawn Lloyd's sake going forward, just understanding the relationship, you need to see a lot of him. Whether it's and you need to throw him the ball too, because he was supposed to be that guy that could really do it all. And I can pull up the stats, but I'm not even sure how many catches he has this year. It's probably not a lot. Is it any? Has he caught a pass this year?
Marshawn Lloyd?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, he's caught 3 passes, 44 yards. He had 125 yarder. Yep. So
Hey-
Andre White was fifth on the team in receptions.
803-404-6100. Real quick, Ray weighs in, says you have to have a Twitter to do the bowl pick'em. No, you don't. It's just easy. We've got our links on the pick, but you can go to Capital One Bowl Mania 2021 on ESPN.com's website. So you go to ESPN.com. If you look over, there's a link under the quick links tab, and if you click on that, you can hit standard pick'em contest, and it'll give you a search tab, and you can type in the early game 107.5. The group message is a group for the listeners who do not microwave their bacon. And yes, we've got roughly 36 people in there right now. So growing by the day, so you can go get your picks in already if you want to for the early game bowl pick'em contest. 803-404-6100. Steve-O saying it's insane and selfish for people to be upset with White for opting out. I wish him luck and hope he goes on to a long NFL career. I don't know if people are really upset with it. I haven't seen many, Patrick. I know there's probably some that are going to be upset and kind of talking about it. But at the end of the day, I think the overwhelming majority of people are okay with this decision from Zaquandre White.
Yeah, it's just more people are upset about the trend as a whole of players opting out. But
again, it's part of college football. Now, we
yeah.
talked about it. The money yesterday, I know the money, the bigger deal, the name, image, likeness, the transfer portal. The college football today is different than it was 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago. Scott weighing in regarding the offensive strategy for South Carolina. He says, how about target Jaheim Bell some, especially after all the tight end talk that Shane Beamer put out for Oscar Delp? And Patrick, yeah, that's another guy. Get Jaheim Bell involved in the offense moving forward.
Well, yeah, because when you talk about size speed combo, he's arguably your best athlete on offense. And when we talked earlier about Josh Vann being the only kind of sure thing or proven commodity on the offense, at least for receiving, Jaheim Bell's the next closest thing you're going to have, because he's had a couple decent games, a couple big plays, and shown what he can do with the ball in his hands. So going into next year, it's going to be number 1, Josh Vann, and number 2, Jaheim Bell. So you just got to have a little momentum going forward for him. Same thing with Marshawn Lloyd. If you want him to be a big part of the offense next year, try and feed him as much as you can in this bowl game and get him comfortable. Same with Jaheim Bell. If he's going to be your versatile freak athlete that's going to be all over the place, lined up as H-back, wide receiver against corners, and just be that matchup nightmare, you need to see him have a big game, like a really big game, and a bowl game is the perfect time to do that with a ton of time to prepare, scheme up easy touches for him because he's really good with the ball in his hands.
803-404-6100. Look, we can go all day. Zaquandre White being out doesn't help. Nobody's saying, oh, good, South Carolina's offense got better. But I think on the list of things that you're talking about, better play calling and better offensive line production in a game is 1 and 2. 1A and 1B. I don't even think there's a 2. It's just very simple. 1A and 1B. And Patrick's saying, and maybe Patrick's right, now that you're going to have 2 weeks to scheme up. Look, Kevin Harris and Marshawn Lloyd are fully capable, Kevin Harris, we know, are capable of handling the load at running back. Juju McDowell's a nice player to add to the backfield. I just, would you like to have White? White was good really because in an offense that was poorly set up and poorly planned, he was the one guy that could make people, like you said, make people miss or run through tackles. If you can get just some ounce of competent play calling and blocking, Kevin Harris and I think Marshawn Lloyd, I think Juju McDowell can be just as effective. The problem is when you have no blocking and the other team kind of knows what's going on. So far, Zaquandre White's been the only one that's been able to make a play.
And you're going to have to throw the ball, too. I mean, they have to at least respect the passing game, or else they're just going to pack the box, and you're going to be running against 8-man boxes all day long, and it's not going to work. So, I mean, you have to play complementary football as well. It's not all just about not having your best running back, so you're screwed. That's just not the case. You have talented guys behind him, and more importantly, Jason Brown's gonna have to play a good game.
803-404-6100. How you can join us this morning. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines for a few minutes. Gamecock Larry is back with us this morning. Gamecock Larry, glad to hear from you. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Had a little accident, but I'm all right now. I done forgot what I was going to talk. Oh, yeah. Army by 10. Army by 10.
Army.
I'm going to be roll tide until about a couple of days before the playoffs. Then I'm going to be roll tide because the tide's going to roll over any one of those teams that left. Whichever one that got to play in the championship game, it's going to be roll tide. As far as the convoy, White, he needs to go ahead and go. Give our players that's coming back next year that's more of a chance to get the more snaps in the bowl game, before the bowl game. But we're gonna be all right. But no Gamecock, Larry, you're gonna sign off for a couple of days. I ain't gonna bother you all. I'm gonna get cleared away and everything straight. But I'm gonna be listening. And all you Bulldog fans, all you Tiger fans, all you Gator fans, all you fans say anything about my Gamecocks that I don't like, old Gamecock Larry is going to call back in and let you know about it. That's about all I got to say. Go Army, roll tide. Gamecock Larry say, have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Take care. Good to hear from you, big guy. He's on a roll. Let's see if he can keep it up. Do you fade Gamecock Larry this weekend? Because last weekend he called Alabama, and he called the Gaffney upset of Dutch Fork. Mm-hmm. Do you go with the hot hand or do you fade him? Was that the weekend of champions for Gamecock Larry?
Broken clock is right twice a day, right?
Okay, all right.
He was right twice last week.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Patrick's fading.
Take that as you may.
And he was misbehaving a little bit this morning, and that's why he had to call us back. So not maybe following directions a little bit.
Following orders. All right. He did take. So he's taking Army this weekend. Navy Army game in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. Army minus 7.5 currently via Caesar Sportsbook and Circa Sports as well. Over under at 34 set for that game. So he's taking Army to not just cover the spread, but win by double digits. Get better, buddy. Good hearing from you. We'll continue on. Get back out to the Love Chevy phone lines as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Live, local, and free. That's how we do sports. 107.5 The Game. Feel free to call and complain if you wish.
You should call that radio station and let him have it.
Remember, we are free of charge, after all.
2022 just around the corner. It's December 8th. You're starting to probably think about those New Year's resolutions, things that you need to get done, things you want to get done. And being in great health is probably one of those things that you want. And if so, it's time to call QC Kinetics. You can give them a phone call today, 803-281-6860. If you've been suffering from issues with your muscles, your ligaments, your tissues, you're dealing with inflammation, and you're ready to get back to living the lifestyle that you thoroughly enjoyed, call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation. 803-281-6860. If people have been telling you that surgery is your only option, if they've been offering you addictive pain medication, steroids, opioids, that's not the way to do it. There is an all-natural approach that you can take with QC Kinetics that will help get you back to living the life you want to live. Give them a phone call, 803-281-6860. That's how you can get in touch with QC Kinetics. Again, here's the best part. All consultations are free, so you just need to get in touch with them to start. Then you can work on getting a plan set up that will get back to living the life that you thoroughly enjoy. Don't let pain slow you down in 2022. Make a resolution today to get in touch with QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860, and get back to living the lifestyle you like to lead.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com. Oh, that rain is really wreaking havoc out there on the highways. I-20 westbound at Fairfield Road, 2 lanes are currently blocked. So looks like you're going to want to get left in that area. So again, that's 2 lanes blocked. I-20 westbound at Fairfield Road. I-20 westbound at Bush River Road, the left lane is currently blocked. Harmon Road at Garner's Ferry Road, we do have a report of an injury accident there. Good news, I-26 westbound at exit 91, that has been cleared. Things moving along better in that area. I-77 northbound at Killian Road, still a tie-up there. Highway 378 at Old Eastover Road in the cleanup stages, as well as Watling Road at Augusta Highway. Rain continuing through the morning, 57 for the high, overnight low of 36. Should be clearing out and have mostly cloudy conditions tomorrow, 57 for the high. But right now, we do have scattered heavy rain, and it's 46 at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Panera. Panera believes in saying yes to the good things. Yes to mac and cheese. Yes to topping it with cheesy Parmesan crisps. And yes to putting it all on a sandwich. The new grilled mac and cheese sandwich. Get $1 delivery when you order on the app. Panera. Live your yes. Restrictions apply.
Live and unzoomed in 2022. Stinks. REO Speedwagon. Special guest, Loverboy. Saturday, August 6th, PNC Music Pavilion, Charlotte. Tickets on sale Friday at livenation.com. Sticks and REO Speedwagon with Loverboy. Presented by Live Nation.
Breathe easier in your home with Zero Res Air Duct Cleaning. Right now, when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, you can get $30 off your next air duct cleaning, plus 15% off filters and purifiers. Schedule online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips for Integrated Media. Let me ask you a question. Is your home ready for the upcoming holiday and sports playoff seasons? What if you could upgrade your equipment without even having to leave the house? Integrated Media is ready to help. How's your Wi-Fi working? Are you ready to upgrade the TV over the fireplace? What about some brand new speakers all around the house for that great holiday music? Integrated Media, ready to help. From getting Wi-Fi signals upstairs to that room over the garage to the back porch so you can stream.
Yeah, Travis, my son actually gets up early to play video games. My son also gets up like on a Saturday and Sunday at like 6:30. We've had to have words with him to not start yelling because he's got the headphones and he plays with his buddies and they start orchestrating whatever they're doing. There's nothing more annoying than being woken up at 7 a.m. by your son who's playing Fortnite yelling, kill the chickens, which confused me pretty greatly because we don't have chickens at the house and I wasn't real sure what was going on.
Not sure if it's a bad dream.
I think I can see Jen. Oh. No, I was cutting it down to hear Jen, see if we could do that without an echo.
No luck?
Well, do you hear an echo now? Did the
I just
people
hear
hear an
you
echo?
once.
Sorry. Yeah. Austin playing
time.
Fortnite is something special, buddy.
Yeah, I would hear Trent playing games, and I mean, it would be so loud, and he'd be upstairs. Like, are you hurting somebody?
Well, Austin too, like yesterday, I was walking by his room and all I heard was, no, this is my normal skin. My backup skin, I didn't want to wear that this game. To which you're like, what is going on in there? But it turns out, I guess they can get I guess they can get multiple skins or whatever to wear for these games. I don't know. I just like
It's so
it's crazy because I've never felt older. I remember thinking when I was little, like, how does my dad not understand video games and what's going on? And now I'm like, huh, I got no clue what's going on with Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Although I was never into those kind of games, even when everybody played Halo. Patrick, were you a Halo person?
Yeah, that's the reason I bought an Xbox in the first place.
I was never a Halo
Oh,
person.
wow.
But I was never a good gamer. I didn't play that much.
Mark, you get too loud with your headphones on. What are you watching with your headphones? Or are you listening to the game? Is that there's a new Halo? They're still making it?
Wow.
Such a moneymaker, they'll never stop making Halo games.
Wow.
I don't
We
think.
need an updated Mario Kart, man.
Updated Mario Kart.
They make a new Call of Duty every year. They gotta keep making Halos to keep up.
I didn't know if they retired Halo. Rolly, what? Stitchway. Reminder, this afternoon at about 2:15 on the halftime show, you can catch Tommy Moody and Raleigh Stitchway. Raleigh, a quarterback for Army. I was having to go back and look at for Army. He was a quarterback, a defensive back, a kick returner, a punt returner. You get the point. He did it all. 1963 and 1964. Raleigh Stitchway will be on with Tommy Moody and Jay Phillips this afternoon, roughly 2:15. We'll call it 2:15-ish. Jay's been known to go a little long when he starts talking. He's kind of like me. He gets a little long-winded. First segment carries on. But Raleigh Stitchway this afternoon, you can hear that right here. Raleigh will talk about trying to avenge the 1963 heartbreaking loss to Roger Staubach and coming back and winning in 1964. He was also the subject of the very first instant replay in TV sports history. So make sure you tune in. 2:15 today is where you can hear Raleigh Stitchway with Jay Phillips and Tommy Moody on the halftime show. 803-404-6100. Let's get back out to the Love Chevrolet phone lines. Eddie has waited patiently with concerns. Eddie, what's on your mind this morning?
Hey, good morning, guys. I think it was week 8 or week 9 in Satterfield's presser. He was asked about getting Van and Jenkins on the field at the same time, and he said that they hadn't done it yet because they don't play the same position in the receiving corps. That right there was a big red flag to me, and I was just wanting to get your opinion on it, and I'll hang up and listen.
Appreciate the phone call. I'm not I'm a fantastic PlayStation PS4 player. And if you're on the Buford Lending live stream, you just heard us talking about Halo and Call of Duty and my son playing those games and everything else. But Eddie, I say
In
that
Madden, all you do is blitz every play.
Yeah, I say that because I'm with you, but I used to hear Steve Spurrier and Steve Spurrier Jr. say, well, we can't get these two wide receivers on the field at the same time because they play the same position. I don't know if people remember, like, it was one of the issues they had. We were like, well, put Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Gurley out there at the same time. Big physical wide receivers. They finally did it, and it kind of worked against Vanderbilt one night. But I've never understood that. Like, train another wide receiver to play another wide receiver position if he's your second best and he's behind your first best. So I don't grasp it, and I feel like it's some kind of football coaching thing that because I never played, I'll never understand. Because what you're saying makes 110% sense to me as to what you would do.
But in the offseason, we heard about what the offense was going to look like. That's what they said. We don't have a plan. We're going to get the best players on the field and figure out ways to do that. And the hype this season was all about, are we going to be able to get Kevin Harris and Marshawn Lloyd on the field at the same time? We're going to be able to get two running backs out there and just make life difficult for people. We haven't really seen much of that either.
I mean, again, there was the lack of consistency, and not just in it was in formations, but in play call. I mean, we would see things that was the orbit motion with Omarion Brown that would come around. I still can't believe that we've gone 2. I don't understand how you have a guy like DeCarrion Joyner, right? How you have a guy like DeCarrion Joyner. And I'm not saying Joyner should be a quarterback or is a great quarterback, or all I'm saying is you've got this guy back there who was a quarterback, who was Mr. Football, who's fully capable of throwing a pass. Maybe he can't throw 20 in a game. Maybe 20 is past his limit, but he can scare teams with a deep pass down the sideline, and somehow you continue to put him in, but yet you don't have a fake where he drops back and throws it to scare the other team. You do have a play where Jordan Birch runs to the left and throws a left-handed pass, but you don't have one. There's things like that where, again, kind of to Eddie's point, I just really don't get with some of the play calling that we saw over the previous 12 games.
Yeah, and that's why I think, I mean, Shane Beamer said that he expects his full staff to be with him for the bowl game. So at this point, it's getting late. Marcus Satterfield will be coordinating the bowl game, whether that is the beginning of the end or not. But that's why so many people are just, it doesn't matter what we see in the bowl game because people's minds are made up. I mean, it's been so inconsistent all year long. And what's kind of made me feel better is that we have the smart football people come on, like Perry, who's played the game at Scarnecchia, who's played the game at that level, and they've both been just as confused as us by certain things. I sometimes wonder if we're about to ask Perry a question like, hey, why are they doing this? And he'll have a logical answer like, yeah, this is the reason you do that. But a lot of the times this year he's been like, yeah, I was a little confused by that too.
Yeah, so we'll see. Again, the news last night that Zaquandre White opting out of the bowl game. Will start preparing immediately for the NFL draft. And I don't think any of us have a problem with it. You do have two other capable backs. Quite frankly, if you don't have a good game plan and offensive line production, it really doesn't matter. You could put Patrick and I back there in the I formation. I assume Patrick would be the fullback. I think I would be the tailback. He's a little bit bigger to me. You seem like you could lead me into the hole there fairly well. But I would assume that without good game plans and without offensive line production, it's really not going to matter who you have back there.
No.
And that's, to me, they will be fine without Zaquandre White if Marcus Satterfield calls a good game. And I'm with you. I think as of now, it looks like he will be the offensive coordinator. Now, there was good news last night, or at least it appears that way. Phil Kornblut of the Sports Talk Network reporting that Josh Vann will skip the Senior Bowl this year. No official word from Josh Vann, so take this for what it's worth. But by Josh Vann potentially skipping the Senior Bowl, that would seem to indicate he would be back for 2022. And I think that's a smart decision on his part. I think he could get drafted this year, but it would be in the late rounds. But if he has another year like he had this year, maybe he gets into the middle rounds and makes a little bit more money and is able to really latch on with a team.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced he was going to get drafted this year until I saw that he turned down a Senior Bowl invite, because I said it in the first hour, guys that get invited to the Senior Bowl get drafted. Almost all of them. It's consistent. They're very consistent in getting guys that NFL teams want to see. So, yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a risk coming back at this point now if it seems like he was definitely going to get drafted. But coming in with all the hype and then matching it is totally different than coming out of nowhere after 3 years of just absolutely minimal production. The one breakout season, if you stack two of them together, then it seems like less of an anomaly. So I do agree that it's a good idea for him to come back. If he just increases his numbers a little bit, I mean, we pulled up, let's see what he got this year. 43 catches, 679 yards, and 5 touchdowns. If he can just improve on this a little bit, get over 50, up in like the 800s, and just have another really strong year as the number one guy. He's already gotten all conference recognition. So yeah, if you do that with a little bit of hype behind you, going against number one corners every week, teams are going to be game planning against you. If you can continue to be productive, then it looks like you're a legitimate NFL prospect, not just hey, he had one good year. How legit is it? That's a really weak receiving group. Are they just throwing him balls and he's getting lucky with a couple contested catches? Like, you need a second year to prove that what we saw this year is the real you.
I'm with you on that. I think coming back, and we'll see Landon Sampson coming in, and I do think that'll be an upgrade at the wide receiver position. How quickly can Justin Stepp get him ready to play next year? We'll see what happens with Antonio Williams here over the next few weeks. A lot of speculation that Shane Beamer may have an in-home visit with him this coming weekend. No real word yet when Antonio Williams may make a decision. No commitment date as of yet. Really could come at any time. Could wait until signing day. And speaking of that, signing day a week from today. Patrick, South Carolina picking up a commitment Was it yesterday or Monday? I believe DeAndre Martin, 6'4", 295-pound defensive lineman, originally committed to Virginia Tech, and that moves him up a little bit in the most recent recruiting rankings. But this class, it looks like Shane Beamer will hold on to it with a week to go until the early signing period. I know at times it looked like some guys may have been a little bit iffy, but right now it looks like Shane Beamer will bring a class here that features, I was trying to get the exact number, 19 guys. 19 guys, and South Carolina will have the ability to bring in up to 32 guys. So still plenty of spots in the transfer portal and a few spots to try and look and see if a player comes along in the fall signing period. Antonio Williams, by the way, still out there. That's number 20. Jashawn Barham, another linebacker that they're tracking, Stone Blanton. So there are a few other players there that South Carolina is keeping an eye on as they come down the close.
Yeah, and it's a lot. This was what number of defensive linemen I saw? It was like the 6th or 7th defensive lineman. Is that right for this class?
It seems high. I'm looking.
That's what I thought too, but I thought I saw that on Twitter, and I'm trying to count them up. I only counted 5.
Yeah, I'm with you on 5.
Yeah.
Unless you're counting Donovan Westmoreland, who's a linebacker, but some people have said he could play edge. Maybe that's where people are getting number 6 from.
That could be it. And I saw Wes and Chris tweeting about the guys that are going to be hybrid players. So, okay, yeah. I mean, this is, yeah. So I think, all the attention is going to go towards the transfer portal, though. I mean, that's what people are going to be looking. They're going to be looking at the quarterback. And it's going to be mostly at the end of the day, everything revolves around the quarterback position. So this is great, getting a kid that was committed to Virginia Tech, decent player, and it's the headlines are just going to be Braden Davis and whatever kid comes to the transfer portal. So as much as this might be exciting and this kid might be a big part of the class, all of the buzz is just going to be following around guys like Jack Miller and right now Max Johnson. So, and of course, maybe even more so, Jake Johnson.
Well, I think Barham, the big time linebacker who appears to be between Penn State and South Carolina, who would be South Carolina's highest rated recruit. He's about a top 50 recruit there. He would be one that would get people's attention. Antonio Williams.
The recruiting battles with Penn State always seem to get people's attention now, just because there's been 3 or 4 of them at this point.
I think in terms of this recruiting class, people I think will keep an eye on. He's committed firmly, but Landon Sampson, because again, you need such an upgrade at wide receiver,
and his stock is rising quickly.
Yeah, Antonio Williams again, upgrade at wide receiver, and Barham stand out to me as guys that you can bring in that maybe are impact players. But then after that, you're right. Anonymous Texter says, how many quarterbacks are slated for next year? At this point in time, you've got Luke Doty, you've got Jason Brown, you've got Colton Gauthier, and you got Braden Davis at the moment. Four, and I expect them. I don't know if shock's even the right word if they don't land somebody out of the transfer portal. Again, the guy that we not necessarily saying that is interested in South Carolina, but I think South Carolina's going to take a big swing on is Max Johnson, who put his name into the transfer portal last night and will now kind of look around. Early indications, South Carolina will at least take a swing. They're going to go after him. We'll see if he reciprocates any interest in the Gamecocks. That's one thing. It's one thing if you're interested.
Yeah.
You kind of need the player to be interested in you as well.
Well, and I am interested in him because of his brother. Like I said earlier, I'm not impressed by Max Johnson as a quarterback. Maybe he's better than everyone on South Carolina roster right now, but that also is not necessarily saying a ton. But is that a huge factor for South Carolina's coaching staff right now, or do you think they love Max Johnson? They really want Max Johnson to be part of this team, or is it more about, hey, we can get a quarterback to come in for competition, and we can potentially get the number 1 tight end in the country because we went hard in the paint for Oscar Delp and we missed, and now we need someone to replace that guy.
I think you're probably a little bit more down on Max. What's your issues with Max? What do you see from him that you just
because good? I think his arms. I think he throws a lot of ducks. I don't think his arm's that ridiculously strong. And I said that coming into the season, I thought that Miles Brennan should be the starter over Max Johnson, but Miles Brennan got hurt and Max Johnson got it by default. So
Max Johnson threw for 27 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this year. In their win over Texas A&M, he was 22 of 38 for 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, I understand against Alabama, 16 of 32, $160 through the air, 2 touchdowns and an interception. You know, I understand kind of what you're saying, but
27, still got room to develop.
27 touchdowns. Is that double the amount of touchdowns thrown by all South Carolina quarterbacks this year?
Probably.
That seems right. Max Johnson for his career.
Receiving touchdowns for South Carolina was 20.
Okay, so close. Johnson through 27, South Carolina quarterbacks through 20. I don't think if Max Johnson wants to come, unless Quinn Ewers is banging down your door and begging to go, I don't know if you turn. I don't know who else is going to be out there.
I mean, if Jack Miller is interested.
But what makes Jack Miller something? We haven't seen
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather have somebody I haven't seen than somebody I have seen I wasn't that impressed with.
Okay. Anyway, there's that. So.
The unknown.
The unknown, the complete unknown. So South Carolina will at least.
Well, I mean, Max Johnson might be transferring because of an unknown. I mean, Walker Howard's never played a down of college football, and that might be the reason he might have scared Max Johnson off. Or Brian Kelly's accent might have scared Max Johnson off. We're really not sure at this point.
Very true. 803-404-6100. Yes, Greg asked, wouldn't Florida State be in play for Max and his brother? Yes, they are. That's the one that a lot of people seem to think will be up there at the top of the list because of Brad Johnson's background. Brad Johnson, the father of Max and Jake Johnson, are certainly and Mike Norvell looking for a quarterback. So yes, to answer your question there, Greg, yeah, Florida State I think will be the early favorite, but South Carolina, Eric Kimry is expected by Oconee High School in that area today. Oconee is where Max Johnson is where Max Johnson is originally from, and there's connections there with Zeb Nolan's father, the head coach at Oconee County, being the coach of Max Johnson, and maybe some connections there with the staff. So we will see how that exactly plays out. 803-404-6100. Anonymous texter says, has Spencer Rattler and other receivers from the portal from Oklahoma landed anywhere yet? Jaden Hazelwood, the really big time wide receiver. Did you see where he ended up? Because I was a little surprised by that.
No, I didn't see.
Jaden Hazelwood, there was a connection. So this just wasn't fluky, but he ended up at Arkansas because his former high school coach is now on staff at Arkansas. Okay. So one wide receiver, to answer your question, from Oklahoma has committed. He will be Jaden Hazelwood, who I think was kind of the big prize out of the Oklahoma portal, has committed to Arkansas. And again, there was a connection there with his high school coach. 803-404-6100. That's how you can join us as we wrap up the program. You can also hop in on the Buford Lending live stream. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Nasty, rainy, wet morning. Might not want to go to work. Might want to go car shopping. Now's the time to do that. To get out to Love Chevrolet, your largest selection of Chevrolets anywhere in the Midlands, including the incredible Chevrolet Silverado. If you haven't been out to check them out, go find out what I'm talking about. Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. The great folks at Love Chevrolet have been open for 60 years, taking care of their customers, and they continue to do that by taking care of people, by not adding ridiculous add-ons stickers that you find at other dealerships. That's right. The price of Love Chevrolet's vehicles stay the same. They make sure that in this time of high demand and low supply, they have got their customers taken care of. It's why I trust Love Chevrolet. It's why you should believe in them as well. Go find out for yourself. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. Love Chevrolet has always treated their customers with the utmost respect and integrity. That is exactly why they are South Carolina's #1 volume Chevrolet dealer. And again, they've been doing it for over 60 years. Consistency, doing it the proper way, continuing to maintain their customers. Go find out for yourself why they are the best in the business. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
It is pretty simple. I mean, Sam Howell still has to prove himself to be a first-round pick. He's gotten worse pretty much every year of college, and he plays quarterback. Quarterback's a leadership position, and it's not as likely to get hurt as a quarterback as it is a running back. You're not going to see draft-eligible running backs or running backs that are going to get drafted playing bowl games anymore.
That's true. It's like
unless it's the national championship or the playoff.
Where did Kyle Trask go last year? Kyle Trask went in the second round. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or am I crazy?
Yeah.
And you still saw Kyle Trask play when basically all of Florida out there. Yeah, quarterbacks opting out, or
it's not going to happen.
I think it's actually, you'd say it's fair to say it's a lot more rare than any other position. Like, I'm trying to think of a quarterback that's opted out.
None. No quarterbacks have opted out yet. Really. Somebody made a comment yesterday about two quarterbacks or when I made that comment, somebody said, yeah, but two have opted out of the season. So I was like, okay, well, Derek King and Kelly Bryant both opted out of the season so that they could play another year and maintain their eligibility. Quarterback's just a different position, and it's going to reflect poorly on a kid if he doesn't play in the bowl game at quarterback. Mine's off, I think.
Final few minutes of the Wednesday episode. Off air, Patrick and I were talking about Patrick, none of us remember quarterbacks that opted out. Like, we were talking about Kyle Trask because Brian on the Buford Lending live stream kind of just asked about it, said, frustrated to see a talent of the North Carolina quarterback house staying for the bowl game, but one of our guys opts out. I totally get skipping the bowl game if you're projected to go early in the draft, but let's be honest, White will be a day 3 selection. Howell projects first round, correct? But, I mean, again, we haven't seen quarterbacks. We were going back through them. We haven't seen quarterbacks opt out of bowl game. We've seen running backs. Running backs are, dime a dozen. They pretty much all opt out of a bowl game if they're semi-draft eligible. But to our knowledge, and I don't know if anybody can think of, not opting out of the season. Opting out of the season after 4 games like Kelly Bryant did is totally different when you can transfer and preserve a year of eligibility as opposed to opting out after at the end of the season for a bowl game.
Yeah, if it's not even a near 6, because both of North Carolina's running backs opted out last year, and neither of them are first round picks. One was a second, I think one was either a third or a fourth. I don't know what round Michael Carter was taken in, but that's just what it's going to be now. Unless you're playing for a national championship, it's more likely than not that your draftable running back is not going to play in the game. And it's going to go for all the positions that are high impact. I mean, linebackers are probably not going to play, and defensive linemen. And Kayvon Thibodeau already opted out for Oregon. That's not really surprising because he doesn't have a head coach now either. So
Sure.
who's he playing for? But yeah, I mean, now we just await word on JJ Enagbare, because if he doesn't play, no one can blame him. He's going to be a first round pick more than likely. It's a really, really loaded defensive end class, but he should be pretty solidified, and at least if not first round, then very early day 2.
Be interesting to follow as we really start to count down the days until the Duke's Mayo Bowl, December 30th, against as South Carolina takes on North Carolina. 803-404-6100. All right, Jen, real quick. Frank, you want to give a John Morant shout out? You got about 20 seconds. Go.
Appreciate it. I just want to give a shout out for him. He participated in the retirement of his high school jersey at Dalzell last night, and he can dunk the ball almost as good as David Thompson did for Norm Sloan at North Carolina State.
Awesome. Appreciate the phone call and for the heads up on that. John Morant, certainly a proud Palmetto State basketball native. Make sure you go check out thebashhoops.com. Big thanks to Brian Rosefield for joining us. Patrick, excellent analysis of Max Johnson. We'll do it again tomorrow.
All right. Yes.
That was busy but fun.
We will see everyone tomorrow.
Be safe.
You all have a great day. Halfway there. Hump day.